ball hard, yeah. Gang, gang, yeah. My bitch bag, yeah. Rose gold got my bands up, yes, yes. White sand in my sandals, yeah, yeah. Ball hard, I got handles. Gang, gang, no bandanas. My bitch bag and no manners. Whoa.
What is going on, everybody? Pete Simonetti here for NYY News, the last nights of the Roundtable of 2021. My goodness, it has been a great run this year. You guys know all the stuff that we got coming down the pipeline. We are definitely excited, but again, it's always I don't know. Is it hard to say goodbye to 2021? I don't know. My 2021 hasn't been great. I don't know about anybody else. Anybody else upset that 2021 is leaving?
I love saying goodbye to the old.
Bringing all the good to next year.
Right.
That's all you got to do.
For sure.
That's it, man.
I love looking forord. And we got a lot to look forward to here at NYY News TV.
A real lot to look forward to, man. I'm super excited about that. But anyway, let me just get to Francis. They already know you, man. I'm not even gonna.
Come on.
I ain't even gonna talk about Francis. Me and Fran, we talk all the time. The Tsar, the legendary one, is in here. To the left, right there. Everybody's besides Anthony. Which Anthony, I'm gonna have you, if you don't mind, just shout out what your Twitter handle is because I didn't have enough time to throw it on there.
You got it. My Twitter handle is my @ is it's LONSKSK. Don't ask where it comes from. It's a nickname I had in high school. And my username is CBA Resurgence Bandwagon.
There he is, CBA Resurgence Bandwagon. Everybody on that Resurgence bandwagon these days. Okay.
Listen, man, the CBA needs to come back. We need baseball, people.
We do need baseball. I tell you what, to be real though,
Please.
I'm serious, man. Like yesterday I had like one of those tough like down days because there was no baseball. I'm like, man, I want to talk about something. I want to do a video. I'm like, but there ain't nothing to talk about. Like, I just couldn't find something where I'm like, all right, this is good enough quality stuff to put out. Like, there was just nothing there for me.
Yeah. There's nothing much. Definitely. I mean, there's really nothing much. Some Hall of Fame stuff, CBA stuff.
Oh, yeah. We definitely are going to jump on the Hall of Fame stuff. Oh, by the way, I forgot, because he's hiding. Joe, you out there?
Killer Joe.
Yeah, I'm here.
There he is,
some
Killer Joe.
This one.
Yeah,
Joe,
I didn't even know Killer Joe was here.
Bro, I completely forgot the silent assassin himself was in the background somewhere. But Joe was going to get ready to come in out of nowhere anyway and just drop a bomb on somebody. But that's how Joe does it. Anyway, everybody that's in the chat, thank you guys for being here. If you don't mind, please go ahead and share. Send out to friends, send out to family. Anybody who likes baseball, this show is really all about that. We don't really just cover only the Yankees here. We cover just about everything on Nights at the Roundtable, and really anything, as in really anything, to be honest with you. So I'm going to give everybody a little bit of time. I'm also going to share this out as I have not yet, so let me do that, and then we'll get started. I think we're going to start with some Hall of Fame conversation. Definitely want to talk about that. And then also, too, just from some Yankee stuff, the Anthony Rizzo to the Yankee stuff is starting to gain a little steam again, so we'll talk about that.
Yeah, he actually did an interview. He actually did an interview with the Compound podcast over at John Boy Media.
Right.
I just watched that interview today.
Yeah, I guess that's what everybody's talking. I didn't see the whole interview, but I'm assuming that's what everybody's talking about. And apparently, I think he sold his place in Chicago.
Yeah, so I think that was like the major tell for a lot of people. He was he was in Chicago over the weekend. And the whole purpose of the trip was to clean out his old apartment of 7 years. Mm-hmm. And like, I guess like everybody in the comments was like, wait, like, well, why are you cleaning it out? Like, that's like, that means there's no possibility. Like you'll go back there. Like you're going to resign there. Like, what about the White? Like you won't not even think about the White Sox clearly if you're just cleaning out Chicago. I'm like, he's cleaning out the apartment because he's a free agent. He can go anywhere.
He can, and on top of it, come on, man. Don't act like if you went back to Chicago, he can't find another damn place in Chicago. That ain't gonna be
it's
too
true.
hard.
It's true, but he said other things in the interview that I could see why people are saying like, oh yeah, he's not going back to Chicago, because these are things that were shocking to me. I had no idea that it seems like the relationship like soured to a certain degree. I'm not saying that he left on bad terms in any regard. That's not what I'm saying. But if you listen to the interview, he makes because Anthony Rizzo is very candid.
Yeah.
He's Italian, so like
I know.
And he literally says at one point, he's like, yeah, because I mean, like, you know, you get to the point in your career where, you know, the team wants to tell you that, you know, you don't have it anymore, you're not as good as you used to be, and like, you know, they start considering what they're gonna do, and then you're lucky if you get traded from one big mark to another like that. So when he threw that in there, I was like, wait, time out. What? Like Chicago? That's how they felt about Anthony Rizzo this year, right? Because I would never have assumed that. Not saying I follow the Cubs like all that close, but like for them, like for him to make that comment, like lets you know, like, hey, where there's smoke, there's fire. There must have been something there. And I understand Anthony Rizzo maybe losing a step or two, but like not that much. Like not
to be like a negative on the team. Offensively, I don't really see that.
Now, didn't the Cubs offer him a contract, an extension, and he turned it down?
They did.
Yeah,
right?
They did.
Yeah,
they did.
Yeah, and it was pretty decent money too.
It was.
Yeah.
I think it was decent money.
470 plus, wasn't it?
Yeah,
something like that.
It was like 475 or something like that.
Yeah, it was something up there. I thought it was
You
definitely.
think he gets that now in the free agent market?
I don't know. I
don't think so.
Not with Olson and Freeman out there.
That's the thing. He'll have to wait, and you know that's risky. That's risky.
Yeah, I really think it depends.
Everything I hear too is that apparently the Yankees' interest in Freeman isn't fake. So we'll see where that goes. You know, so everything I hear about that, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's fake. I don't know. I don't know if Rizzo gets that much. I don't know. I think that might be.
I don't think he gets that.
I don't know. I don't think he will.
I don't think he'll get the years, to be completely honest. He might get the AAV.
I mean, I would love if the Yankees look. I mean, I'm sure we're gonna talk about Correa and all that stuff soon, but if you could ever get him back on a very short deal, I don't know if he does that, but if you ever could, I mean, 2 years would be tremendous. 2 years, even with an option, would be terrific. If you could do that, I mean, you got to sign yourself up for that.
I feel like the Yankees' way lately has been like extending the years to get a lower AAV.
God,
so I look at it.
What happened to our Yankees, man?
Definitely.
So I look at it. I look at a guy like Rizzo, and it's like I could see the Yankees offering him something like 5 years, which to a lot of people sounds like, wait, 5 years, a lot of years. Like we just gave DJ 6 years. Yeah. So that we could get the AAV down. So if the Yankees could find a way to offer him 5 years but get his AAV something around like 14, I think they do it. Hell yeah, because they're like, we're gonna get Rizzo for 14 million for the next 3 years, and in the next 3 years he's probably still gonna be pretty damn good. And then in the years where he's not damn good, it's only 2 more years at 28 million. And 2 years, 28 million of a declining player is really easy to sell, especially if it's a lefty player who still has pop.
Right.
So like, yeah, maybe he loses a step or two at first base, but he's a lefty in Yankee Stadium. And that's another thing he spoke about in the interview today. Like, he's like, you're a lefty, you stand in the box at Yankee Stadium and that porch is just like staring at you. It's like, he's like, I must have hit 100 balls foul.
I was about to say, if only you could keep those damn things, if you could keep those damn things fair. That'd be nice.
That's what he said, and he said it. He said it with almost like an expectation, like a tone of expectation, like hoping like he got another shot at that porch, which I, like many other people, agree. Like if Anthony Rizzo is our first baseman on opening day, that's not an L in the way that Gary Sanchez being our catcher is an L, or Aaron Hicks starting in center field is an L, but Rizzo as the first baseman on opening day is not an L.
Right.
I don't think that's an L. Like, that's not like, oh, well, we didn't, you know, that we made a bad move.
You've upgraded. You've upgraded from the start of 2021.
Exactly.
You've upgraded.
I don't think that's a downgrade.
I think that's the easiest way to see it, because again, I'm going to keep saying my new line I like to say is that defense is production. And there's just like this mindset now where it doesn't matter. And I'm like, you know, you got cats that'll come on here and say, oh, throw this guy at first base, or sign this guy and just throw him up. Well, you don't just throw somebody at a position. You don't do that. We've seen that. Didn't we see that enough this year? Didn't we see that enough?
Where did this first base thing come from? That everybody thinks that everybody can play first base.
Apparently, first base has just become some position where you don't got to give a shit about it. I don't understand that. It's like you don't have to play defense.
Just put anyone there. It's like, what?
It's gonna cost you. It's gonna get me Doug Minkiewicz back before I put a bum at first base. Just get somebody to feel the damn ball.
Dougie Fresh.
Dougie Fresh.
Dougie Fresh.
You know what I mean? So anyway,
I wasn't
Listen,
that-
I'll be
wasn't
happy
that
with
down on
three
Doug.
other guys. That are
3 new
Olson,
guys?
Rizzo, or Freeman.
any of them, I agree.
Either,
I
either
agree.
three.
One of them is a win.
You know,
That's-
it's
that's
funny
how I'm putting
because,
it.
well, a lot of Yankee fans aren't. Shockingly, I've seen a lot of Yankee fans not wanting to give a contract to a guy like Freeman. I'm like, do you understand how important it would be?
There's
to have Freddie
actually
Freeman?
Yankee fans
Yes.
saying no.
Yes, I see many of
Wow.
them. But here's what they do. They'll say, well, if you're going to sign him, just trade for Olson. But it doesn't work that way. It doesn't work. It's not that easy. If that was the case, you just trade for whoever the hell you want. It doesn't work. There's a process. But if you got Freddie Freeman, you're really going to be mad if Olson goes somewhere else. Hopefully it's not Boston. But if he goes somewhere else, I mean, I'm sorry, but I'm okay with that. Freddie
Do they
Freeman's
realize
an absolute
Freeman's
beast.
Freeman's arguably probably the best first baseman in baseball?
Well, I know. Here's the problem. Here's
Yeah.
the problem. There is a lot, and Ruben, I'm going to get to your super chat, but there's an issue recently with this idea that winning doesn't matter. It's not a good. You don't have to add players who've won when actually that's rather bullshit. You should. This team needs guys who've been there and done that. They need
Yet another point that Rizzo and his boys made on that podcast today. They're like, you can't quantify that guy who knows what it is to win. You just can't quantify that.
Yeah.
Like a guy coming in who knows what it is to win. And they were speaking about it, I think, in reference to like Javi going to Detroit. And they're like a lot of things that I think they felt like that was something that was overlooked with Javi. And I agree. Like personally, like when I was speaking about Javi's free agency, it's not something I spoke about. But Javi was on the Cubs
Yeah, he
in
won.
2016 when they won.
World champion.
He's a world champion.
Yeah.
He does have that pedigree. And that's something that was not really being spoken about when he was going through his free agency. You heard a lot about what he did when he was on the Mets, the stupid thumbs down thing and all the other, and, the other head case things that he's done, which I agree can be a distraction and stuff like that. But there is something to be said about a guy who knows what it's like to go through that. On top of that, going through that as a member of the Cubs who hadn't won in 108 years at the time. Yeah. He's got something. He's got a little bit of a leg up, and Rizzo's one of those guys. And now Freeman is probably the number one guy because as good as Olson is, he hasn't won anything.
Facts.
Right now, when I say, because I'm one of those people who said like if I have my pick, I go Olson. The reason I go Olson is because I don't trust the Yankees to spend the money the way they should.
Right.
But if the Yankees are the Yankees, they can sign Freddie Freeman and they can sign Carlos Correa. As crazy as that sounds to some of you, it's really not. If you want to do the math, just go look at what the Yankees payroll is currently in 2024.
Yeah.
That's where I'm at with it. If it were my choice, I'd pick Olson too, because I don't trust the front office to give Freeman max money and go get Correa for max money at the same time. I don't see it happening at all. I'm personally thinking that they're waiting for the new CBA to see wherever this tax number is. That's why they didn't do anything.
Well, they also try to coerce every owner to wait also, so that makes sense.
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
Hal's just waiting to see, and he's praying the number goes down so he could sell.
It's a little confusing to
Pineapple
see what they
apple.
want to do because, like Pete said, like the interest isn't fake, and then signing both Freeman and Correa, like to me, doesn't add up, especially when
No,
Joe's just waiting on his contract too.
Yeah, not with Steinbrenner, not with this Steinbrenner, unfortunately. But
Yeah.
let me get to Ruben's super chat real quick. Ruben, thank you, my friend. I appreciate it. He said, "Who knows? Who knows? May Rizzo will embrace New York and come back ready and established, and why to play." To his 2019 numbers, which was 293, 404 on base percentage, 520 slugging, and 924 OPS. I mean, it wouldn't shock me. It wouldn't shock me at all. I mean, it really wouldn't. It wouldn't shock me one bit if he at least has 2 really good years with the Yankees.
No, not at all.
I'm
I don't
not
think he loses his glove either.
He actually, well, based on the, I'm gonna be an analytic nerd real quick.
Oh,
He actually
yeah, I
didn't
know
play
what
too
you're
good
gonna
with the
say.
Yankees at first base.
He was a
but-
bad defensive first baseman.
Yeah,
for us, to be
so I
honest.
mean that's when I don't trust it. Am I gonna sit here and say he's gonna be bad next year? No, I'm gonna say he's probably gonna be good, but he wasn't too great.
Listen, if the
Olson,
Yankees,
on the other hand, was terrific defensively.
that's where I'm at with it. I think Matt Olson just fits the team perfectly. I understand winning mentality is important, and it is, but also acquiring guys that are going into their prime years is important, in my opinion, too. I feel like the Yankees we like to pay guys when they're either at the very, very end of it and then going past it instead of getting guys like now, get Matt Olson, and then you don't let him leave. He retires a New York Yankee. In my opinion, that's how it should be. You get a guy like
I agree. I'm not gonna brag.
Yeah.
I think I did enough bragging on this, but I called Olson potentially an Olson deal with the Yankees this offseason. And I don't think a lot of people really saw it, but
you called it. You called it during the middle of last year.
Yeah,
like
so I didn't.
Before the deadline shows and all
just
that.
The way like the A's are, I was like, there's no way they don't trade him this offseason. And I think he is the best option out of the three, just because he's probably got the best glove out of the three right now, and he's the only one entering his prime right now.
I would say glove-wise, you could make the argument that there's still people ahead of him, but the thing with Olson is the age. That's what you got to remember is that because he's younger, he's got so much more ahead of him than the other guys do. In Yankee Stadium, that's the one thing that I think gets lost in the argument is that in Yankee Stadium for guys like Rizzo and guys like Freeman, it's a life extender because Matsui was older by the time his Yankees tenure was coming to an end,
right.
But he was still successful and effective because he was left-handed and he was just a monster going to right field. And with guys like Freeman and Rizzo, like even as they decline, like physically or whatever, as long as they're still swinging the way that as long as they're still swinging correctly and they can catch up to a fastball, they're going to be popping out home runs.
Yeah, I
agree. And I don't think much people really see like what Olson could be in Yankee Stadium. I don't think they realize that he could be another 40-100 guy.
Oh, he'd be ridiculous in Yankee Stadium. Look at his numbers at the terrible Coliseum.
Mm-hmm.
How's his power to left field?
Ridiculous.
It is?
Ridiculous.
Okay.
If you look at his, I don't know the exact numbers off the top of my head, but I saw something on Twitter a few days ago about if he played at Yankee Stadium, I think he would have had like 50-something home runs.
That's
well, they said the same thing too. Trevor Story, I think, would hit like 47 or something like that. It was like an insane.
Now, regarding Olson, what would it take to get him?
Right now,
why would you give up to get him?
I feel like right now you can't really like. Some people are like going way too far and saying, but they're gonna ask for Dominguez and Volpe
shit. I'm gonna be honest. Who gives a shit? I'm sick of this shit. And I'm sorry, like France. I don't mean to cut you off, but sometimes I get hot, and I'm getting sick of this mentality that we got to keep these guys that aren't gonna be here for 4 fucking years. I'm tired of it. Like, look, I love Jason Dominguez. Look, the problem with Dominguez, let me tell you why he won't get traded. I'm gonna tell you exactly why he won't get traded. The Yankees made a big investment in him. They want to see that investment pay off because this is not George's Yankees. He's the highest rated ever. When they was it $5 or $6 million they gave him up front. They're not exactly. They want to see that investment pay off. They do not want to say, okay, we did this to get this other guy. It's not what this regime of the Yankees are going to do. They're not going to do it. Now, for an example, Peraza, okay. Look, I love Luis Medina. I think he's better than all of them. I think Medina's better than Heel. I think he's better than all of them. He's that damn good. He has that ability to be amazing, and he got the swag, and he got the pitcher build, better than all of them. He's tall, but he's muscular. He's not small, and his frame's going to get bigger. He has the great build for it. But look, I'm not looking to win in 2024. I've seen so many people say stuff like that. I don't care about winning in 2024. I want to win right now.
Exactly.
And that's just where I stand on that. I want to win right now, and that's it. I could care less if I like that prospect. Even today, I mean, what was it? The Yankees are there's a guy coming up that the Yankees are likely the leaders to get. And I mean,
Roderick Arias?
No, it's another guy moving forward that the Yankees apparently are connected to. And I'm like, this gets more news from Yankee fans than if they were to go out there and sign a Suzuki or somebody like that actually has talent that's going to help next year. And I'm like, it's weird where we're at right now with this mindset in the game. I don't understand it.
We want to be the Rays so bad, but we can't do it. They want to be the Rays.
Seems that
so
way.
But that's my issue, and I think we've been saying this all year. It's like the New York Yankees masquerading themselves as a franchise that needs to be run and operated the way that the Rays is a joke. It's a joke to the fans. It's a joke to themselves. They're lying to themselves. The Rays operate the way that they do because even though they also have billionaire owners, the actual product of the Tampa Bay Rays does not net that kind of money. The Tampa Bay Rays organization is not netting near $700 million a season. Right. The Trop is a shithole. It rarely ever sells out. They go to the World Series and nobody gives a damn. It's not the same. You don't go to London and see people wearing Tampa Bay Rays hats. Right. You don't go to China and see people wearing Brandon Lau jerseys. Right. But you do go over there and see Aaron Judge jerseys. You do go to Paris and see Yankee hats on the runway at Fashion Week. That's why the New York Yankees need to be operated in a different place, because they're a different monster all complete. The Yankees can stand on their own two legs without the league. That's how big they are.
Yep.
$700 million is not just
friggin' money.
It's not just a little bit more than other teams. It's like multiple times more than most other teams. Like, we get mad, and I saw the proposal from the owners the other day, like, oh, with the salary floor thing or whatever. But I'm like, imagine putting a salary floor at $100 million, right? But then you got an organization like Baltimore that the last couple of years, their net on return from that team is not even $100 million. So how are they going to put $100 million on the field? Right. They're not making $100 million from the product. But the that's why I'm a proponent for the percentage-based one, because if it's percentage-based, then the Yankees, who are making $700 million, probably got to spend somewhere around 285, 275 or something like that, which I'm fine with. 300 million sounds crazy to me too. I want to tell people, I'm not one of those people that think they need to be spending 300 million
because you don't have to win.
But 60 million, that's Tampa Bay. They do that because they have to, guys. The Yankees don't have to do that.
Right.
Absolutely. And when it comes to prospect hugging, dude, it's ridiculous. Like, Anthony Volpe's 1% outcome, his first percentile outcome is Carlos Correa. Like, that's what we're hoping he becomes. And it's like, we look at these things and it's like, okay, in 5 years, 6 years, Anthony Volpe could be great, but Carlos Correa is great right now, and we could go get him right now, and we could keep Anthony Volpe and him together and have a generational infield still. It just, I don't know. Criminal.
How good could Volpe be with the pressure that's alleviated if you sign a guy like Correa?
Exactly.
Just think about it. Because right now, as it stands, that kid's coming up here with the weight of God on his shoulders.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you pass on Trevor Story, Javi Baez, Carlos Correa, Marcus Semien, and why am I forgetting? Corey Seager. If you pass on those five guys because what you're peddling to the fans is we got Volpe coming up, then when this guy comes up, Yankee fans are going to be rabid. They are going to expect 10 RBIs in his first swing, and it's not possible.
Yep,
it's not. We all know that's not possible, but we all also know that fans, they're not necessarily rational. And when you pass on five shortstops like this, how can you expect them to be?
Well, to be fair, didn't the Yankees get outbid for Semien?
So they say. But there's no realness to that, and you got to remember
that's the thing. Because remember what happened with Ray?
Right. The Yankees have been very known for putting stuff out there. They have a hell of a propaganda machine that they have out there. And let me get to some of these super chats real quick. Mario says, "Do you think starting pitching is being overlooked? Currently, Cole is really the only starter pitcher you could trust." Yes, I've talked about that. I think people thought I was nuts when they were like, "Well, how do you list what's most important?" And I was like, to be honest with you, shortstop to me is one of the last ones. I said catcher and starting pitching. I still think that. Look, you can't go into it, and they kind of go together too, catching and starting pitching. But the idea that you can bring Gary Sanchez back another season when 3/5 of your rotation at the end of the year were like, we'll take Higgy. And the Yankees are sitting there like, what do you, hold on. I'm a little confused at what you guys are looking at that we're missing. Like, what do you think after his 6th year in the league, all of a sudden now he's going to say, I'm going to become a good defensive catcher? It's not going to happen.
I mean, the only thing that would make sense with bringing back Gary is if you go get somebody like Contreras and you, with the new hitting coaches and everything, they hope the best for Gary at DH. But yet again, I'd see it's just a waste for me at him at that spot.
It's just what does he have to do? What does he have to do to be like you can't? He's not going to play here no more.
We can't DH Sanchez. I mean, at the end of the day, like we don't even we know our situation right now. Like our DH spot is tied up.
Yeah, wherever you put Sanchez, he's clogging up that position.
Yeah,
that stands. But here's the thing: it's like at this point, I don't even know how anyone could make an argument that like we should be like looking at other DH options outside of Stanton. With the money that guys are getting paid right now, the contracts that we saw get signed before this lockout, Giancarlo Stanton's contract for what we're paying him,
It's not bad
it's
at all,
a
actually.
fucking steal.
What are we getting?
He's a
24
bargain.
million?
22 million a
So
year.
We're paying him like
all-
22 million, bro.
It's a
Bro.
bargain now.
It is a bargain now.
We're
100%.
paying him 22
I mean-
million. 22 million for a guy who went into Boston on the last week of the season and raped and pillaged the entire franchise.
Right.
Home run after home run after home run. Went to the wild card game and literally had a 3 home run game. The only thing is that they have a wall that's the size of a skyscraper in left field for people like that, which is fine. I like it because it's one of the, old things about baseball that's still around. And at least
fuck
Boston,
their ballpark, bro.
yeah,
Fuck
at least
that
Boston.
baseball.
No, but here's the thing. Boston
People
at least
don't even realize
at least Boston understood. They got something right. There was years ago, they were thinking about knocking down Fenway, making a new park and everything, and whatever. It was right before they were gonna sell, and then John Henry shows up, and what does he do? Like, no. Here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna put seats on top of the monster.
yeah, smart.
We're gonna install a jumbotron. We're gonna fix this. We could have done the same thing with Yankee Stadium. Instead, they wanted to turn that into dust and make a strip mall with a baseball field in the middle.
Do you remember
my God.
when they were talking about building a new Yankee Stadium? They said one of the main reasons they had to do it, which we know why they did it. They did it because it was George Steinbrenner wanted it. That was literally it for him. He wanted something to build after him, and that's fair and that's okay. But the funniest thing when they're like, well, it's so old that it's like we can't it's the wiring's falling out the ceiling. We can't do this. I'm like, come on, man. Like, this is modern day technology. You know how easily you could fit shit or rebuild or reconstruct some areas? Like, was it so old that if you move something it was going to collapse? I mean, I don't think that was the case.
That was one of the
I miss
times.
that
If it
place
didn't
so much.
collapse and Tino Martinez grand slam in the
Yeah,
postseason or big home runs in the postseason, 2001,
Or
it's never
Girardi's
gonna collapse.
triple.
Girardi's triple against
96.
the Braves.
Yeah.
I mean, come on,
no,
man. Like,
it's
Damn.
when I look back at it, that's one of the things, like, and this is why I love to tell people, it's like, look, we don't just stand every single move that George made, because there's some things that he did that I always say, like, I didn't agree with, like,
right.
and the new stadium was one of them, because when that was coming out in the papers that, like, structurally there's a lot of damage, there's certain things, and it just looks old. Like, I remember there was an article just talking about how it just looks old. It just looks old. And I'm just like, okay, I get it. But when I walk in Fenway Park, you know what? It looks old. But that it looks and feels like baseball. It looks and feels like baseball.
Look at the
and
legends
Wrigley
that played there, and you can still say, well, they played right here.
Yeah, it's like, dude, you were in the old Yankee Stadium looking down at home plate, and you were like, do you know how many Hall of Famers crossed that shit?
Yeah.
Do you know how many
Yeah,
Hall of
that's
Famers
right.
like stepped their foot on that particular spot right there?
And there's a different
like,
feel.
I'm right here.
I don't
like,
care what anybody
yeah.
says. There's still a different feel. To this day, there's a different feel.
Yeah, this new stadium feels really.
There's a different feel.
But a lot of things changed when you had the new, because the prices skyrocketed. Now you have a different crowd that goes there.
Yep.
There's a like, I'm telling you, you go there May and June. There's a real touristy feel. May, June, and July. To be honest, there's a lot of tourists there. They don't even. They're just there. Like they got hats that they bought on Times Square. It's like,
yep.
You don't even know the players, and they're just there like, Yankees and whatever. You're just like,
yeah.
And then the other ones, let me chill out. Let me be very careful for we get.
Yeah, be very careful with him.
Then you got other people there who, like, they are fans, but they're fans with some money, so they're just sitting there and, sipping champagne, taking in a ball game, talking about the stocks or some shit. And it's like you can't even get them excited when something's happening, and it's just like,
I feel like alone, like isolated when I'm there, because I'm into it. I don't care if it's a game in April or a game in October. I'm into it every time.
I'm with you, Joe.
Nobody else
Definitely.
is.
I'm with you. I can't go to a game and be relaxed.
Let me get to these super chats real quick before they disappear. Tyler says, who the hell cares about prospects Olson and Montes for Peraza, Torres, Voit, Medina, Garcia? I mean, if you're getting both of those back.
Might take
change
a little.
Montes to Manaya, and I'm in.
Ooh,
I like Manaya.
You only got the 1 year of them, though. You got to re-sign them. Man.
Yeah, I love
who
that
knows?
too.
I don't know. Frankie Montes, I don't know. He's a great pitcher. I mean, on the Yankees, he'd walk in and be our fucking number 2.
Sean Manaea is a picture. That's why I want him.
That's
Manaya is a beast, yeah.
That's
Sean
honesty.
Manaea ages
That's honesty.
I like him
Honestly speaking, he is a number 2 on the Yankees the second he walks through the door.
And then Ruben with a super chat, it says, make Sanchez the backup catcher to Wilson Contreras and tell him play well and we will get you more time.
My guy Higgy.
I'll be honest, I wouldn't. That would never
he's-
happen just because they're not going to pay all that money. They're not going to give him $8
You don't
million
pay-
just to sit there.
You don't pay a backup catcher $8 million.
No, definitely
Doesn't
shouldn't.
Do we
at
think
all.
the Yankees banked on getting Stalling and then all of a sudden and then trading?
No,
Sanchez
because
to the
apparently they didn't
Marlins?
even care. The Red Sox
don't know.
the Red Sox were close to getting him before the
Mhm.
Marlins did, so apparently they
That's
didn't
what I
care.
heard.
Mind
And
you,
that's
the
my
Red
concern.
Sox have a better option at catcher than the Yankees currently do, and they were going harder for Stallings than we were.
Because everybody knows how important that is to your pitching staff. And you know what? Look, the more people look at that move as like, that's a little move for the Marlins. That's a significant friggin' move.
They have great pitching already.
Exactly.
now
And they got
added a
more
guy
young
like
guys
that.
coming up. And they
Yep.
got more young guys
Yeah.
coming up.
They have some flamethrowers, dude. It is crazy. Some of their pitchers in the system.
Then they had the rumor about Yankees trading Sanchez to the Marlins.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And not even Jeter wanted no part of him either.
They were,
No.
they were going
He
to
was
give him
smart.
top level
And
bonus
look,
for him.
let's
Yeah.
be honest. I'll tell you guys. I'll tell you guys something that that I actually was told recently about Gary. Throughout the minor leagues, Gary was not a liked guy, and people
I
people
see
don't
it.
seem to understand that. Gary Sanchez was not a liked guy in the Yankees organization. You had a lot of the pitchers who didn't want to pitch to him. That's a known fact. His personality. You remember he got benched one time in the minor leagues for bad attitude. I mean, it was a common thing. People knew this already. But I mean, the Yankees have stuck with him, and at the end of the day, it almost looks like the thing that I'm most concerned about is you haven't really heard rumors about any catcher at all with the Yankees. Kind of like,
Nothing.
yeah, this is our dude. We're gonna keep him. So that's my concern. If they do, I'm telling you right now, I've said it before, they ain't winning the World Series. They ain't winning
And
the World Series.
again, you're waiting, but it's like when people tell me like, oh, you just really got to see what they do on the other side of it. It's like, okay, you can like I'm definitely one of the I feel like one of the more optimistic fans out there in terms of like the Yankees. Like I've given them the benefit of the doubt to a fault. And
Yeah.
even this offseason, I've said like, all right, like I'm gonna wait and see how it ends before I just say like they're not gonna do this or they're not gonna do that. Even with all those reports that they're not gonna sign this $300 million contract or whatever, I was like, I'll wait and see until they don't do it, and then whatever. But with catcher, we haven't heard a peep, like not even a peep. And you can't say, oh, well, you don't know if they're gonna spend that money yet. It doesn't cost that money.
Yeah.
It doesn't cost that money. That's what people don't understand. Like, look at what Zunino makes. Look at what Zunino's getting to be with the Rays.
Look what Stallings makes.
I
$3.5
know
million.
Ray-
Sedino got the same bat as Gary at this point.
Yeah. I prayed the Rays declined his option before.
Who
I went to
wouldn't?
Super
Because
Bowl.
I think the
I
Yankees
was
would have
telling-
pounced.
No, become a free agent because
I
he
think
was
was
a
the
perfect.
Yankees would have pounced on that one. I
Oh,
believe.
yeah.
I think
I
they
was-
would have had to.
I was telling Pete the same thing, and that same day he
Yep.
resigned. he accepted the
Yep.
option. I was like, shit.
I feel the same way about Kevin Kiermaier too. He'll never be a Yankee, but I feel like him as a versatile weapon on our team would be perfect. He's
Yeah.
a
If you get
defensive-
him, then I don't care about Aaron Hicks. Like you can keep Aaron
Literally.
Hicks.
Exactly.
Like Aaron Hicks doesn't have to go anywhere if you have a guy like Kiermaier now because
We already
what-
have a guy that Aaron Hicks doesn't have to be around anymore. Florial is better than Aaron
the
Hicks.
flow
Or,
show.
You know,
It's
that's the thing
true.
that people don't understand is like people want, well, you're going to improve on Aaron Hicks. Okay, let me tell you a couple of things about Florial that I could almost guarantee you'll be better. He'll be a better center fielder. He probably now has a better arm. He's definitely faster. He's definitely going to
the
steal more
surgery,
bases.
yeah.
I'll tell you what, he's also going to walk a lot because he does that. He's also going to do what Aaron Hicks does. He's going to strike out a lot, but he's also going to hit 20-plus homers. I guarantee it. And he's going to go first to third more than Hicks will. Has scored and doubles at first base more than Hicks will. Everything there is better, and he's a lot cheaper. The problem is
attitude,
that
too.
Brian Cashman has a very strong no push limit on his ego, and there's certain guys that he's not going to give up, and Hicks is one of those because he was a true believer in Hicks. You remember how much he bragged about the Aaron Hicks trade? My man was walking around after that 1 year when he re-signed him like it was the greatest trade in Major League history. And mind you, he's made better trades than that. Curtis Granderson was a better trade.
way
Literally.
better.
Oh, much.
I-
Way
I
better.
mean, come on, we could name
Way
them. We
better.
could name them off the top of our head that he's made better trades. So it's not like
Please, I was
this is the
happier
first
with
one he ever did.
I was happier with McCutcheon. Come on, like,
I mean,
Yeah.
Oh my
yeah.
God, McCutcheon! Remember that?
McCutcheon came out of left field, literally. I was like, "What? We're getting Andrew McCutcheon?" Whatever. And
I
I was like,
happier with Xavier Nady.
Remember
who
Xavier
was
Nate?
Oh my
Xavier
God, I
Nate was
remember
an
that.
animal. He was a
Yeah.
beast. And then he got the
Yeah.
injury. This dude, he was on a
Yeah.
projection to be really freaking good.
That's when Swish, took over.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's right. That's right. But he was
Yeah.
good. We got another super chat in here from Mike M. He says, let's say Freeman back to the Braves. Olson gets traded elsewhere. How can the Yankees sell the fan base without a Correa signing? To me, he's a must. And Mike, you've heard our talk among all of us when we had the trailer reveal and all the new team was in there. We talked about we feel it's a must. I made a separate video the next day talking about Correa, actually bringing up a lot of Francis's points and Christian's points about what they said. And I'm right there with you. I just think, and I mean, please, I would love to talk about Carlos Correa and my good friend Azar. I want to start with you. Is Carlos Correa to you a must?
Definitely.
And
Definitely.
I think we're all kind of saying not necessarily like a must, meaning that we believe they're gonna do it. It's a must in our opinion. Who cares about? Like I said in my video, we're gonna take the money away for a second because we're not doing that. So I don't want to make that be the reason we don't in this scenario. We're talking about just a team overall. So continue on, please.
Yeah, no, definitely. I've been saying this, ever since the offseason started. You have to go out and get this guy. This guy is that good. He's a difference maker. Look what he does in the playoffs, which is what this team lacks. Okay. So I definitely, me as a fan, I definitely want Carlos Correa. I wanted him all along over Corey Seager.
Yeah.
And
I agree.
they say the fact that he's a right-hander, but you know what? To me that doesn't matter. He's that good.
Yeah.
I wrote an article for NyynewsTV, and it was maybe the first month of the offseason where I put out Carlos Correa needs to be a Yankee, and if he's not, it's a criminal offense from the front office of the New York Yankees, and I still feel that way.
Hey, I like it. I like it.
He's generationally great on both sides of the ball. I know people will cite his advanced numbers and stuff, but he's still going to improve offensively. They cite the back issue. I can't project injury, and front offices shouldn't.
Can I jump in right there on that real quick? Because I heard that a lot in my live, and people were kind of coming at me with that, and I said, well, the best evidence we have is the most recent, and he has 2 full seasons in a row.
Exactly.
60 games is not his problem. He played 58 of them. That's not his fault that there was a COVID year, that everybody missed time. He played all of them. Then he played all again last year, majority of the season. So I'm like, we can use that, but you said it right. We can't project injuries on people. We don't know what his history is going to be going forward. Look, it sucks. Sometimes you could sign a guy. Let's say Correa played his whole career and he's healthy. You could sign him and he gets a knee injury the first season and he's never the same. That shit happens. It's called risk. Risk happened in baseball.
Yeah, but Corey Seager has an injury history too, and let me tell you, the Rangers didn't bat a fucking eye. You know why?
Oh,
because of the point that Anthony made right now. Fans don't want to hear this, but you cannot project injury.
That's right.
And when it comes to negotiating contracts, yes, teams like to bring up injuries. They do. Owners and general managers across the league will bring up injuries, but it's brought up for nothing more than a negotiation tactic. Because let me tell you, if they were really worried about injuries, they wouldn't even be at the fucking table. Let's call a spade a spade. I'm not sitting at the table. I'm not sitting at the table across from a guy and then talking to him. Well, you know what? I really am worried about that back, Carlos, or whatever. Why am I at the table if I'm really worried about that back?
Right.
Let me tell you, we're at the table because I don't really give a damn about that back. I'm just trying to see if I can get you for a lower price, which is what a lot of teams. I think most of the teams who were really going to be in on Correa were saying it all along. Like, look, let's see what this guy's going to cost. Let's see if we can get him to like come down a bit. Let's see what happens. And I think it became clear, like, he's not budging because he is who he is. He knows what he brings to the table. He knows what his value is. And he's like, I don't give a shit. Somebody's going to pay me. You have to pay me. That's it. And I think teams like Detroit said, you know what? We'd love him here. Obviously, he'd be a good fit. We got AJ, whatever, but he wants his money. He's not going to budge. Let's pivot to Javi. I think the Astros and Jim Crane has never in the past pivoted from his initial offer with people. His offer for Carlos Correa was what it was. I don't think he's upping that. I also don't think Carlos is going down to meet him there. So I don't see a reunion there either. The Dodgers, they lost Mad Max and they lost Corey Seager. always have to watch out for the Dodgers because you never like they spend. They're not afraid because they realize how much money they make in revenue every year.
Yep.
But even them I'm worried more about with Freeman, to be honest, because
I already told
they
you
have
who I'm worried
they have
about.
Trey Turner, and then you said Boston, right? Boston.
100%.
That's my dark horse to blow
100%.
everything up.
100%.
Spend
Yeah.
money. I could see it in a second.
It's just a Boston move.
It is.
It's 100% a Boston move. And again, you don't know the conversations that Cora already had. You don't know. I'm telling you. That would be a move that if it happens, I'll come on here and be like, kind of figured it. I mean, to be fair, it doesn't shock me none.
It wouldn't necessarily be the
SARS,
biggest shock.
SAR's not happy about that shit.
No.
Please, no.
The biggest
Him
shock.
doing this at Yankee Stadium in the playoffs.
Yeah, no. The biggest shock to me would be the fact that they went and spent that amount of money with Xander Bogaerts already on the team and their number one prospect being another elite shortstop who's touted higher than Anthony Volpe is. For those who don't even know,
But
like we're going crazy over like Volpe, and we're like, we can't sign a guy because we got to. It's like Boston would consider signing a guy, and they have a higher ranked shortstop in their system than we do, and an elite shortstop already at the major league level, and they're still considering signing and bringing in a shortstop. If that doesn't tell you that the Yankees 100,000% need to sign a shortstop, I don't know what does.
The writing's on the wall for the Yankees, in my opinion. It's you, and I know people like Trevor Story. I'd like Trevor Story too if Carlos Correa wasn't there. That's where I'm going to leave it.
That's a fact,
the
though.
thing
You're
too
not
about,
wrong.
The thing too about Boston too, Marcelo Mayer or Mayer, however you say his last name. The thing about that is he's athletic enough to move too, and I don't think Boston will be concerned about that. I mean, you got a left field that's small. You could play anybody can play left field in Boston.
Xander Bogaerts could always move to second too.
Yeah, Bogarts easily can move the second. So that's my thing about like athletes. The Yankees try to move Odor to third base, and it's like, what the hell are you thinking? Like the type of things the Yankees do, it's like you got the best defensive second baseman potentially in baseball. They're like, I would put him at third or first base. Like, put him at second base, you morons. What are you doing?
Yeah,
you put him at second base.
But that's
the Yankees.
This is why. This is another thing that just like kind of has me like thinking is like where you are the Yankees right now, and you have to be cognizant of the fact that Boston is there. Boston is lurking. Now, again, I will still say this: like if you told me gun to my head right now, Carlos Correa, he signs with either Boston or the Yankees, who does your gut tell you he goes with more? I still say the Yankees. Why? Because Boston literally, like, they let Mookie walk, and Mookie was their guy. Like, they've balked at paying a lot of their own guys. They let Erod just walk for 77. That was nothing. That was no money. Erod got signed by them for nothing. And they just said, all right, see you later. Like, we're not paying you that. So it's like, until I see Boston shovel out the money, like, I have to see it. It's the same thing with the Yankees. Like, I need to see it because they've been moving in odd ways recently. Chaim Bloom, though, even if he's not spending money, I trust him more not spending money than I would do the Yankees if they weren't spending money. Because Chaim knows how to build a winner without spending.
The Yankees would do some
Brian Cashman doesn't know how to do that. But because Cashman is not, he's not, and it's not a knock on him, but he's not Chaim Bloom. He's not going to build a $120 million payroll that's a world beater. No. But Chaim Bloom can 100% build a payroll around 150, 160 that fucking goes and wins the World Series easily. Chaim doesn't have to spend $200 million to beat the Yankees. I got news for you guys. No. If don't turn the blind eye to Boston if they don't go and sign a guy like Correa or a Story, but they do just get Schwarber back and make some other. They had enough to beat us this year.
They did.
They're gonna have a full
They
year
did
sale.
beat us this year. So.
Yeah.
They had enough to beat, and it wasn't just the wild card game, guys. I don't know if you remember how long it took us to get our first win against them this season, but it took a while.
Yeah,
they were beating the Yankees all year long. It's not particular like the gap that Aaron Boone spoke about. It's not particularly close, and
there is no gap anymore.
And there hasn't been.
But that's
there
what I'm
hasn't
saying.
been a gap. That's the problem.
That's what I'm saying.
That's why this guy's a moron. I can't.
When when I say it's not particularly close, but that's what I mean. It's like it's not particularly close, and we're the ones chasing them.
I was in the same room with that scumbag. Can you believe this? You know how badly. I even
you
told
speak
Chris.
to him? What'd you tell him?
I keep wanting to tell the story. I don't know if you heard the story, but anyway, thing ends, and I'm like, I'm gonna be a respectful guy. I'm not gonna go up to the guy during the dinner and be like, hey, Aaron, get up. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna do something like that. You know. So anyway, the thing ends, and I tell Chris, who's with me from Bowl Night, I say, Chris, I need you to film it. So here's my phone, film it for me, and go. But Chris was starting to drink a little bit, so he wasn't there at the time. I was like, all right, I'll record it myself, no big deal. So I'm walking by, to my left, I see Mike Rizzo. So I start talking to Mike Rizzo for a little bit, and then Mike Rizzo says, oh, my car is here. I'm going to have to go. I said, Mike, no problem. Good talking to you. Nice meeting you. I said, I'm going to go tell Aaron Boone off anyway. And he goes, don't you're not going to start trouble here. I said, no, but I got a bone to pick with the guy. By the time I turn around, Boone's out the door. Boone was gone. Nowhere to be seen. Once this thing ended, this guy must have ran out.
The thing is, Aaron Boone
sensed it. He sensed it.
Yeah,
Aaron Boone,
PD sense.
Aaron Boone knows Pete by now, though.
Oh,
I mean,
how
many times? I mean, one of these videos where Pete is ranting about Aaron Boone saying he was bullied by an umpire has had to have gotten back to Boone by now. There's no way
doubt about it.
There's no way that he hasn't seen this guy screaming on YouTube, bullied by an umpire. Like there's no way he hasn't seen it.
We made eye contact for about 4 seconds, and I'm telling you, he knew.
He had a flashback. Pete, that's what it was.
Yo,
he made eye contact with Pete.
In his head, he heard this. You got bullied. So he heard this. It went right back.
Flip you.
Yeah, flip you, Boone. Who's doing who? You or your wife? Like a fucking
Oh, man.
I'm telling you, man. I mean, hey,
Nah,
I've gone
man.
crazy on it, but hey, it is what it is. Mike M with a super chat. So when all is said and done, do you guys think Yankees sign Correa? I'm gonna keep it real because that's what I do. No, I have no confidence. I have no confidence. I don't. And again, like I said, I feel like it's months ago now when I originally put the information out that I was told by 4 people. One being a very, very highly respected beat reporter that is retired now. And he's like, hey, the inner circle's telling me they're not going to sign anybody over 300. No way. It's not going to happen. So, and then you got more of the mainstream guys saying the same thing, but I just don't see it. I don't see it. I can see a Rizzo and a Suzuki.
The way they operate now is just they become an organization where they just draw a line in the sand.
I just think it's cheaper to sign Correa.
They're in on players, but, they'll always, out of all the teams that are in, they come off as being a small market because they just don't go the extra mile to, sign these players.
That makes me sick, man.
Call me overly optimistic. Opening day 2022, Carlos Correa is down in pinstripes.
Hey, I love it. I hope you're right.
I'm with you. Yeah, I'm with you, Anthony. And let me tell you why. I don't particularly, and people might kill me for this, but even if they sign Correa, like I don't particularly think like that's the craziest of feats either.
No.
At this point, you know how easy it's become for them to sign Correa? He's practically fallen into their fucking laps. Let's be honest.
You don't know what he's turned down either.
Detroit is off the table. Texas is off the table. Nobody knows if the Dodgers are going to dance in those waters for a shortstop when they have Trey Turner there. Like Boston, people are saying, yeah, dark horse. But again, nobody knows for sure. Like it's literally fallen into it. Like if they go and sign him, I'm not going to go out there and be like, hey, Cashman, how phenomenal job going and beating out all these thousands of other teams. It's like at this point, let's be real. We know it's only a handful of teams who are going to be playing at that level with Correa.
Imagine if Uncle Stevie pulls it off out of nowhere.
Exactly. Like
I'm done.
But
I'm out.
It's not out of the realm of possibilities.
It's not impossible, man.
His payroll's at 290. His payroll's at 290, and he just doesn't seem to give.
Let me tell you something too about a guy like Cohen.
I think he's gonna go for Bryant more.
Let me tell you something about a guy like Cohen, though. You know for a fact Cohen wants to have the biggest payroll in baseball. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, no, that's the whole reason he bought. That's the whole reason he bought the team.
Yeah, he definitely wants to.
Yeah.
And look, he's old enough to be around when George was. You don't know what inspiration that is on him. You don't know.
No, but he said So I don't know.
I remember he did say it when he first.
I was gonna say
he did.
I don't know how much people have paid attention. Now I know me and you have had the conversation piece up, but I think Uncle Stevie has made it very clear since the moment he got this team that the whole reason he's here is because he thinks it's about time that the Mets have a George Steinbrenner, and that's what he wants to do, and that's what he says he's going to do. And you
Imagine
know what?
somebody saying that
He's putting his money where his mouth is.
His own son is across the borough, and it's like, I'm not doing that. Like,
yeah, but it goes to show you.
Pride at?
It goes to show you, like, look at how successful Steve Cohen has been. Now, you can argue that there's some of that success is questionable or whatever like that. I got news for you. Some of George's was too, but we don't have to get into that. Yeah. What I will tell you is it takes a certain type of man, right? And the people I name are going to be people that you might think like, oh, but these people, like your Vince McMahons, your George Steinbrenners, your Steve Cohens, your, I don't care how you feel about him, but your Donald Trumps. It takes a certain kind of man to achieve a specific level of success that puts you into this rare air that makes you that kind of shark. And Hal is not that kind of shark.
No, not at all.
That's why he doesn't get it. And Steve Cohen can send a shot like he did, because he did send shots when he was announced as the owner and everything. And Hal doesn't even catch it because he doesn't play the same game that Steve does. Steve's saying that it's about time that the Mets had it or whatever. It's because he's realizing like, yo, you guys are bleeding in the water in the Bronx. I can show up now, buy this team and go crazy and literally like steal the throne from under you right now, because you're over there trying to play Tampa with Brian Cashman. You're trying to play Moneyball and you don't have Billy Beane. Like, I'm going to spend money. You go play Moneyball. And that's what he's doing. And I think Hal is like, no, we're good. We're the Yankees. We've got 27. People are going to still show up. They're going to buy the chicken buckets. They're going to pay $20 for a beer. We'll be fine. It's not going to be.
How much is the chicken bucket, by the way? I never got it.
The chicken bucket, it's not $30. It's not $30, but we always say
$24.
Yeah,
we always say it's $30.
We always say $30.
Where I come from, it's $30. Then yeah, $30. How much is 20, a beer?
Like 15.
$20. Like, all right, so if you get both of those, you spend $50.
Yeah, the beer's between 12 and 15. But here's the thing, right? How, and it might have to come to this point, unfortunately, right? Where Hal and Cashman serve up a goose egg on a free agent class like this, and the fans respond to it, because they have to actually see the bottom line affected. And the Yankees, even though Hal was crying broke after 2020 with the COVID stuff, they still haven't really seen the bottom line affected. No, people are still buying tickets. Season ticket holders still buy the tickets. People still show up to games. The stadium hasn't been empty like those days. Do you remember? You go on YouTube, some of you guys who are young, or go on YouTube and look at Yankee Stadium. Look, I just want you to YouTube a Yankee game from like 92 or 93.
Oh yeah.
I want you to YouTube.
I've seen it.
And, yeah, I want you to use and see what the stadium looked like there. Let me tell you.
Deck, it was like non-existent.
Bro, you could see
balls hit up there. You could anybody could get it.
You could see the color on the seats.
Yeah, everywhere.
You could see the color on the seat. That's Yankee Stadium hasn't looked like that in decades now.
They had a few games towards the end of the year last year that was pretty patchy.
Yeah, and I remember we were saying it. We were like, oh, look at that. If that doesn't open your eyes, Hal, then you might have to go through a season of that so you could really feel what it's like when the fans aren't messing with you.
The tough thing about it, and Tyler, let me just read off your super chat. He said Correa is that guy the Yankees need, plain and simple. I think everybody here agrees with you. But talking about that, the Yankees got it so good now because there is, and that's one of the main reasons why, when I even had the thought of doing NyynewsTV and switching it over, saying, all right, I'm going to target people that are really, not necessarily the same mindset, but we just keep it 100% realistic. We're not, bounded by the Yankees. We don't want to necessarily care about getting the players on, work with the Yes Network and shit like that. The thing is, fans would be happy if all they did was get Olson. You'd have fans going, World Series locked. Yeah, you'd have a majority side of the fan base that would be pumped. And that would say, okay, well, you get him and Mania. That's it. They think the World Series is, Yankees are going to win the World Series. They're the best team in the league. To tell you, they're nowhere near it. They'll be nowhere near it.
ALDS.
Nah.
If that.
Lucky.
Dude. But remember, we were calling this going into the trade deadline. We were calling the Yankees either missing the playoffs altogether or getting bounced out in the wild card.
We said if they do get in right now, it's a 1 and out.
Exactly. And there were people in the comments saying, nah, like you guys are going scorched earth.
Yep.
They're going to turn it around.
We're
What happened?
panicking. All that
What
stuff,
happened?
yeah.
What happened? I'm not, and you guys know. So you NYYTV guy, you guys are fans, you know, keep it a buck. I have never come on here and hit you with the I told you so. I told you so. Right. But I'm going to do it today because a lot of you guys said that no, we were hitting the panic button too early. We were this, we were that. How you feel now? Bounced out at Fenway in a wild card game. How you feel now with your ace on the mound? How do you feel now? Because we said that these were things that could happen, and people kept telling us, no way, they're gonna fix it, they're gonna turn it around. We kept telling people that this team has problems that go so much deeper than the players, you wouldn't even begin to imagine it. But Hal wanted to come out and say the players weren't performing. Cashman wanted to come out and say the players weren't performing. Well, you can't go a whole year saying that the players, it's their fault, and then not change the players in the offseason. So I want to see what they do. Because after kicking us that shit all year, you better sure as hell change that personnel. If the personnel was the problem, then I want to see a change because you already brought Booney back.
Don't even
that tells us that they don't think he was the problem. Like they said, he's more part of the solution than he is the problem.
Yeah, Bob Klappich put out that. I think it was Bob Klappich who said that there was a part of the leadership that was actually pushing Buck Showalter. That's bullshit. That's bullshit. I got to call bullshit on that one.
No, Pete, I believe that there's a possibility on that, and they're probably gone now.
Probably, yeah. If there ever was, they're gone. Because at the end of the day, there's rumors the only reason they didn't re-sign him was because of the COVID year. They were going to re-sign him in 2020. They weren't even going to wait. They were going to lock him up long term well before that.
As early as 2020. See, that I didn't hear. That's interesting.
Yeah, that recently came out that they were going to lock him up because of COVID. They didn't. They decided not to. But
now the Mets are going to sign him.
Mm-hmm. If they had any like bearings of not wanting to bring Boone back, they wouldn't have given him 3 years. They obviously wanted it for a while now. So
my only hope was because remember I told you guys in the wild card game, I said he's coming back. There's no doubt about it. The guy's definitely coming back. My only hope was Steinbrenner would have some balls and go, well, look, if it doesn't work next year, both of you are out. It's a one-year deal and that's it.
1 year deal.
Both contract years, then you guys are out. And I'll support you however I support you in the offseason, but it is what it is. You had all these years to build this club with a $200+ million, because I know a lot of people want to go at Hal, and I get it. I do too. But at the end of the day, Cashman's had a $200+ million payroll. He's had that opportunity. He's had the opportunity. He signed Cole. I mean, let's not forget that. He signed him. I paid him a lot more than every other team offered, but he signed him.
He did.
So at the end of the day, he's the one who re-signed Luis Severino to a long-term deal. He's the one who signed Aaron Hicks to a long-term deal. I mean, that's stuff you got to look at and go, they're just bad moves. So he still had the opportunity to put a team together with a large payroll. It's not the payroll, it's how you're spending that money. And he has not done a good job of that.
Well, you look at it, what we've been saying all year, like broken records. We're paying $30 million for two relievers, one of which isn't going to pitch at all next year.
And there's no sign of the Yankees moving them.
$30 million for two relievers, and they're not the two best relievers on the team. Like, that's a problem, people. That's why the other day, I don't know who it was. I think somebody was like, oh, I think me and Joe were talking about it on Twitter. And it was like Kenley Jansen, and somebody was like, oh, would you guys take a final? I was like, fuck no. Why? Avoid him like the plague. I said, just say no to overpriced relievers. Yeah. Like saying no to drugs. Cashman needs to say no to overpriced. Haven't you learned your lesson? Look at Clay, but look at Clay Holmes. That's how you build a bullpen. If you want to copy the Rays in something, copy them in that. Look at how they put a bullpen together every year.
Yep.
I mean, the names you've never heard. It sounds like they pulled ranch hands from fucking Kansas or something. And they come in throwing 99 and 100.
Who's the guy that's always on cocaine that comes out of the pen that has the biggest eyes in the planet?
Fairbanks.
My God, what a cokehead that he does about 3 lines of coke before he comes out of the bullpen.
And comes in and strikes out the Yankees in 9 pitches. Right. I'm telling you. Look, it's like, that's what I'm saying. It's like, they want to copy the Rays in terms of like, oh, how we're going to spend in our payroll, whatever. It's like, why not just like look at their player, like how their player scouting, what they're looking for when they look at pitchers. People keep saying like, oh, don't make a trade with the Rays because they always win. How about you research the Rays trade patterns the last couple of years? It's all public info. You can't make trades that are in secret.
Yeah.
It's all public info. If you go and start looking at the players they've been picking up, you can pick up the trends. People like, it's the Yankees. Why don't we have the most expensive nerds doing this shit already? Why do we have to say this on YouTube? Why are they not doing this? And there's people who might give them the excuse that, oh, they could be doing that and we don't know. No, we know, because they want to pay $30 million to Britton and Chapman. But Clay Holmes is, as of today, better than both of them.
Yep.
That's
and Loaiza to me is a future closer.
Oh yeah,
no doubt about it. That's
Right.
why you
Closer
can't
this
stand
year.
these talking heads like Michael K. Well, put him in the bullpen and starter. No, stop doing that with
Oh
guys.
God, no!
Like,
Clearly
nonsense.
didn't work. Clearly
Yeah, I
did not
mean,
work.
like, it's just hilarious. Yes, the Yankees have screwed some guys up from doing that because you don't know what Chamberlain's career would have been like if he stayed. I understand all those stories. John Loaiza's best bet to help the Yankees is a relief pitcher. Simple as that. He is dominating as a relief pitcher. You leave him where he is. But here's the thing about bullpens that I agree with Francis. You can't spend money on it. It makes no sense. It makes no sense. Look at the arms the Yankees have. You got guys like Steven Ridings who comes up throwing 100 miles an hour and does well until he gets injured. You got even a lot of people don't like Albert Abreu. Albert Abreu could be what Loaiza was a few years ago. Guy that has a ton of talent, just hasn't put it together yet.
I feel like that's what he's gonna be.
Yeah.
He's
I feel like that's what he's gonna be.
He's
If they stop the
filthy.
starting pitcher project.
Yeah, he's absolute filthy, and there's a lot of guys, like that in the Yankee system, and fans
There's
don't
more
seem to
guys
understand
coming
that.
up.
Much
more guys
coming up. Much more.
What people
coming
don't
up.
what people don't realize is they got sold again because they like, Yankee fans love to drink the Kool-Aid that Cashman and House serve. They got sold on this whole like branding of the bullpen thing, like when it was the no runs DMC and it was Dellin Betances and Andrew Miller and Chapman, and people were like, because after Mo, everything has been branding like their bullpen and shit like that. It's the biggest joke to me in all the sports. It's like, what are you doing? Like, you have teams winning championships with with bullpens that are shakier than a stripper's legs on a Friday night. Like, why are we investing millions and millions and millions on names? Like, Braves fans will tell you, like, they were shitting bricks every time Will Smith had the ball in his hand but you know what? They just finished winning the chip. They just finished winning the championship.
Yep.
It's not always, it's not about bolstering and having the strongest freaking bullpen or whatever. What was it, like 2 years ago? We had the best bullpen in baseball. What did that get us? Not a damn thing. Not a damn thing. On paper, it was the most imposing, scary bullpen. Oh, yeah, the Yankees bullpen or whatever. Yeah, but you can't get to the bullpen because there was no starting pitching.
Right.
It's a joke. It's a joke.
It's bad.
It's a
Really
joke.
bad.
And
So-
that's the kind of money that's on the books right now.
No doubt. And the last topic, I was sorry, you want to say something?
Go ahead.
Oh no. What I was gonna
No,
say
totally.
was the last topic I just wanted to cover was the Hall of Fame, because I gotta talk about this, and I definitely want to get your guys' opinion on this. Is I put out somebody wrote something about kind of the integrity of the Hall of Fame. You can't let these guys in. You can't do this. You can't do that. And I wrote a tweet about it, and I've had a lot of responses back to it. One guy talking very heavy on, well, there's an integrity that you got to stick to, and here's the rules, and this and that. Let me find where it was. It was this Foolish Baseball said,
Foolish baseball.
yeah, saying Barry Bonds the greatest hitter ever, and here are his stats through 1998 isn't effective campaigning. He's not getting votes because he's a cheater and a domestic violator. A domestic violator and a cheater. Man, he says that so hard. I am not, as you guys know, politically correct at all. There's a lot of things that I think the media and everything else in the world overblows a ton. But if you want to play the political correct game when it comes to the Hall of Fame, then there's a lot of guys we have to take out the Hall of Fame. And this is what it is. There's no argument there. Let me tell you something about the Hall of Fame. It is not a thing of integrity. It's just not. It's about who plays on the field. For an example, like I said,
Who was the best on the field?
Pudge Rodriguez took steroids. Mike Piazza took steroids. Jeff Bagwell took steroids. Whitey Ford talked plenty of times about doctoring baseballs. Gaylord Perry talked plenty of times about doctoring baseballs. Ty Cobb was an open racist. Does that mean we just go ahead and say, unfortunately, they got in and then we just move forward with whoever's there? No. It's about the Baseball Hall of Fame. They played baseball well. If they had great career numbers, they should get in. It's as simple as that. There's some, what about, there's levels of cheating. There's difference of doctoring the ball and taking steroids. But the rule book don't say that. Doesn't say that.
It doesn't.
Cheating is cheating.
It doesn't.
It's however you want to see it. It is what it is. A-Rod's a Hall of Famer. McGuire's a Hall of Famer. Bonds is a Hall of Famer. Clemens is a Hall of Famer.
Facts.
The list goes on and on. These guys are
Gary
Hall of Famers.
Sheffield.
Gary Sheffield's a
Gary
Hall of
Sheffield.
Famer. Sheffield's a Hall of Famer.
Kurt Schilling.
Kurt Schilling.
Undoubtedly is a Hall of Famer.
I don't know how
Listen,
Kurt Schilling's
I hate Kurt Schilling because of 01 and 04. I know people want to keep him out because of his political views and all that.
Well, that's exactly the reason.
I don't give a shit about that. I mean, listen, he's a Hall of Famer because he was that good.
Right.
I mean, I hate him because of 01 and 04.
I'm with you.
And
I told Pete
there's
that
no doubt the guy's a Hall of Famer. I mean,
Albert Bell's a Hall of Famer.
Albert Bell. Yep. Oh,
Yeah.
good one.
Albert
Good one,
Bell.
Anthony.
Never forget.
I told Pete the other day, same thing. If you would have told me in 2006, 2007, when I was in high school, dude, do you know that in another, 14 years, you're going to be on the internet defending Kurt Schilling's case for the Hall of Fame? I would have smacked you silly. I will never defend anything about that man. That's what I would have told you. But here we are in 2021, and here I am having to defend Kurt fucking Schilling because you people are idiots. Like, it's a joke, bro. It's an absolute joke. Like, when did we stop caring about what people did on the field and when did we start caring more about what they do with their Twitter fingers years after their playing career ends?
It's such bullshit. I'm sorry to say it is. It's just
It's just
you know what it is. It's this dumbass idea of this politically correct world we're living in. I'm not saying there's not rights and wrongs. Of course there is.
That's a question.
Of course there is. But the idea that these writers hold against, because let's be real, writers always hated Barry Bonds. This is not a new thing.
Thank you.
Always hated Barry
They
Bonds.
didn't like Barry from the
It wasn't a steroid
jump.
thing.
They didn't like Barry
never
from the
liked
jump.
Barry Bonds. And look,
Because
Barry,
he didn't like them.
He didn't like
that's
them.
what it was.
Exactly.
Because that's what it was.
And if this is the thing, if this is what these guys are going by, you got to dump it. You want to keep the integrity of the game? Let the friggin' players who've been there and done that vote on it. And that's it. That's why Kurt Schilling said, just get me off the ballot. I want the players to vote for me because they will. Get me off the ballot. The writers don't like me. Okay, no big deal. Get me off the ballot. And I'll get it another way.
I never understood that, even till this day. I mean, people have tried to explain it to me, and there's writers that I respect. It's true. But I've never understood why there's not more former players represented amongst a group that's voting on players going into the Hall of Fame.
And how they get in. First ballot, second ballot. I mean, it's not stupid.
If I'm a writer, right, and you're telling me to critique the work of a fellow writer from years ago, that makes sense to me because I'm currently a writer. I know the techniques. I know what goes into it. I know what's involved. I get it. But I'm a writer critiquing what somebody did on a field 10, 15, 20 years ago. And you have the nerve to sit on your high horse and say, nope, he was a cheater. You dumb son. You could have cheated as much as he did. You wouldn't be half the player he was on that field.
And
where do you get off? Like,
even worse, they hold opinion of the person. Of the person, not what they did on the field.
No, they want to tell you that they're terrible
opinion.
people.
Yeah.
Terrible people. Kurt Schilling is a terrible man. Barry Bonds is a terrible man. Mark McGuire, he's practically a terrorist. You see what he did when he broke the home run record? How dare he? Roger Maris, poor Roger Maris. You know what the problem is with baseball? And I want you guys to listen. Fans, listen, because I've been thinking about this. The problem with baseball is they're always trying to cover their mistakes by blaming shit on the players. Because the shit with McGuire and Sosa and everything breaking the record for Maris, that's not McGuire's fault. Baseball fucked up. You fucked up when you put the asterisk next to it and then decided to take the asterisk off 6 years after Maris had died. That was your fault. You messed that up. Then you wanted to put it on. No, McGuire and his steroids tainted the record. No.
It just
Bullshit.
It starts with one person. Bud Selig knew. I mean,
They knew.
I don't know how
That's
this is
what it
not.
was.
I don't know
They
how
knew.
this is not like a. They act like this shit didn't happen, and like people are just dumb.
No, they act
Bud
like it doesn't
Selig
still
knew.
happen. Like it doesn't still happen.
He knew it. It's just dumb. But it's your boy with the. I'll get to you, Anthony, right after this. But
You're
it's your
good, you're
boy
good.
has a super chat out there. I want to make sure I get to it. Love from Rainy SoCal. I love the channel, and if you had to choose, which of the three would you have to pick? Freeman, Olson, Correa, or Story? So I'm assuming one of those guys. Yanks got moves to make after the lockout ends. Let's see what happens. I'm out of those guys. I still stick with Correa.
Agreed.
Yeah, third.
Yep. Joe, I forgot you out there. Oh, maybe Joe's not out there. I don't know.
I was gonna say, I was like, is he out there?
I don't know if he out there at all. But
you gotta send the Killer Joe signal.
Yeah, you gotta send
Is it
gotta throw some?
Is it the Rock? Is it the
no?
gun? Which one is it?
You grab a nice fresh piece of gabagool and you fly in the air as far as you can.
Just sling it up in the air.
You sling it as far as you can in the air, and Joe just pounces up and looks and finds it. But
veal
Anthony,
Parmesan.
Veal Parmesan's amazing.
Oh.
Yeah, Anthony, continue to talk about. I think you were gonna say something when it came to the steroids.
Yeah, about the Hall of Fame.
Hall of Fame.
I have very simple criteria. If you can't tell the story of Major League Baseball without a player, then they deserve to be in the Hall of Fame. I don't know how anybody cannot tell the story of Major League Baseball without Roger Clemens, Barry Bonds, Sammy Sosa, Mark McGwire, even guys like Albert Bell, who dominated an era of baseball. I don't care if they were taking steroids or not. Everyone was doing it. People like to talk about those guys specifically. 97% of players in that era were using some type of performance enhancer. I can almost guarantee.
Look what Bob Gibson said. Bob Gibson said flat out. He said, if it was, I'm happy it wasn't around for me because it would have been tempting. I probably would have. I would like to think I wouldn't, but I probably would have. I mean, because baseball's a game of always looking for an advantage, no matter what. That's just how it is. It's human nature. You had cats in the minor league say, well, if I take this stuff and I get better, I mean, I'm going to get a contract. My family's set for life. Why wouldn't you? They didn't see it then as like, well, it's not okay, right? I just do it. I mean, it's just ridiculous how we think about some of this stuff. I don't understand it.
No, that was one of the to me, that's one of the greatest quotes about that whole era that you'll ever hear. And it's crazy that like it's not being like pushed the way it should be because it looks bad on baseball's part. But what Gibson said is 100% spot on. He's like, look, if I'm a player out there, he's like, I'm not going to ever let the thought that another guy has an edge on me seep into my head. Yeah. So if I know that some guys are doing it, he's like, yeah, the temptation is going to be there. And I probably would have done it. Why? Because I'm like, you ain't going to have an edge on me. All right, you doing? All right, I'm a juice too. Now we equal. Let's do it. And that's an argument that has been made time and time again. In the steroid era, it wasn't just hitters who were juicing. There were pitchers who were juicing. There was juice going against juice. A lot of the time, it was juice versus juice. And like you said before, Pete, baseball cannot say that they were unaware. They were like
it's bullshit.
They had no idea. Yeah. No, they turned a blind eye is what they fucking did because
they were making money.
That summer,
exactly.
Baseball,
that's what bothered me about
that summer. Baseball was being saved.
Yeah, they were making money.
They needed it, and it's the same thing. And the reason I said that it still goes on now is because look at what comes out right before the lockout. Major League Baseball was sending different types of balls to different ballparks depending on the primetime schedules and shit like that or whatever.
And you know who it helped? I looked at these numbers today. Be very, very careful with him. Ohtani got a ton of help from that juice ball. A ton of freaking help from that juice ball. And you know who? I got to shout out Pops. Because I remember he reminded me today. He told me there is something wrong with the way that guy is being handled and how much power he hits in big state televised games. And I said, Dad, what do you think? He goes, I think they're changing the baseball. I said, get it? I said, no. I said, there's no way. Then it comes out they're doing. He reminded me today. He goes, remember I told you that? I said, you did. I forgot about that. There's something wrong. And apparently, if you look at his games that he played on national TV, the ESPN games, MLB Network, numbers are through the friggin' roof. Through the roof.
Yeah.
And Francis, we talked about this a lot. We know we know it's amazing. No hate, no anger towards the guy. I love the guy. It's an amazing thing that he's doing.
It's amazing what he's doing. Yep.
But the over-the-top coverage was a bit odd. I mean, it was like no other player existed this year. And I get it. It's rare. It's unbelievable and all that. But wow, matter of fact, who was a player who does it? I can't think about it. There was somebody who they stopped doing it because he was such a good hitter. He was a really good pitcher, but he was a really good hitter.
It's happened time and time again.
And they wouldn't let him because it actually could have happened here many times, but they wouldn't allow it.
DeGrom was a shortstop until college or some shit like that.
Something like that, yeah.
It's not just this happened. Like Ohtani is doing what Ohtani is doing is because he came from Japan and they allowed him to do so. There's it's not to say that there's not a kid from the states who didn't try to do this, or whatever, they don't let kids do it.
Yeah,
They
Michael
don't let kids.
Lorenzen's going to try to do it this upcoming season.
Lorenzen's doing it this upcoming season. So and
Good for him. I mean, I'm not saying he's gonna have Ohtani's results.
No, and
but
Ohtani,
we should see more of it.
To be fair, and Ohtani's a rare talent. He is. He's terrific. He's unbelievable.
Oh, yeah.
The guy's excellent.
Oh, yeah.
But I do think there was a lot of pushing of those numbers quite a bit. And if you look at the numbers, they're actually there. If you look at the primetime games, it's actually legitimate. David with a super chat. David, I appreciate it. He says, still don't know how Andy Pettitte is not in the Hall of Fame right now and with the most wins in the postseason. And Barry Bonds, he still would have been great with or without cheating. He's one of the greatest players of all time. And one of the things I actually had a conversation to about Andy Pettitte is Big Blue in the Bronx, who are joining us, the Twins, Twin Bill, in January. They were kind of just saying briefly about Mark Burley, and I was like, well, if Burley stands any chance, Andy Pettitte got about 40 plus more wins. So Andy Pettitte to me definitely should be considered the Hall of Fame. And the thing you got to remember too, only thing Pettitte ever got caught with was HGH on his elbow when he was injured because he wanted to get back to his team quicker.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So with or without that, if that's all we know, he also pitched in the steroid era and he dominated. He was excellent.
Yeah, but Pettitte gets a bad rap always because I've heard the thing about the postseason wins or whatever, and what you see a lot of writers say, yeah, but Andy Pettitte was on the Yankees, some great teams.
How was that his fault?
He was carried a little. I'm like, he was carried a little. Like, you guys will look for anything when it comes to some of these guys. You just say anything.
But how was that his fault?
And we're supposed to eat it up. No, apparently
it's the same shit.
Apparently he was carried by some Yankees, some of those great Yankees teams. And so that's why he doesn't deserve that, along with the HGH thing, which is like, okay, I'd love to see John Heyman on HGH. I want to see if he can pitch like Pettitte on HGH. I don't know. Or if he's going to be the next Roger Clemens, if he takes, because the way that they make it seem, Pete, is that we're idiots. The five of us here, we're idiots because all we have to do is inject ourselves and we could be the next Barry fucking Bonds.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's basically what they're saying,
case.
which is definitely not true.
It's not the case.
So Ruben says real quick, Killer Joe is in the chat. Read the chat. No, I've just, I hear you now, Joe. I just did an unmute thing. Did it work?
Yeah, it did, right?
He said he was trying to talk, so I don't know, Joe.
Dude, I thought you guys were just ignoring me.
No. Did you hear the gabagool in the sky?
Yeah, I did. I was trying to speak. I couldn't fix it.
Well, I told my fiance to go outside. I said, fling that money in the air. And that's why you hear it.
So that's why Joe's back.
But Joe, please chime in. If you had anything to say, please chime in. And thank you, Ruben. I appreciate it.
Just with the Correa stuff now. I was mainly on the Correa stuff. All these Hall of Fame ballots, most of them besides A-Rod and Pettitte, I haven't really seen any of these people play in my lifetime. But yeah, Correa definitely. He needs to be a Yankee. You fail automatically without signing him.
Agreed.
Bingo. I mean, I think it's definitely right there. But I mean, really, just to wrap up the whole Hall of Fame conversation, you just can't play if you're gonna come argue with me about the Hall of Fame, don't bring up integrity. I don't want to hear it. You can't bring up integrity and then look at as recent as Ty Cobb was voted in years and ages ago. Okay, fine. Bagwell, Piazza, and Pudge were just recently voted in. And there is no doubt in my mind. I remember back when steroids wasn't a known thing. And I remember Pudge went from looking like Ichiro Suzuki to the next day looking gigantic the next year. No, he was gigantic. Then he got super tiny when he went with the Tigers. Remember that? He got super skinny, super small. All his power was gone. Nowhere near the same player. Even
when he came to the Yankees in 08.
Even when he came to the Yankees in 08.
Half of his body, where the hell half of his body went?
He just disappeared. I mean, it's like when you see Barry Bonds now or Mark McGwire now. They look a lot slimmer and skinnier. It's what steroids do. I mean, it is what it is. But guess what? It was allowed then. It wasn't some crazy thing. You know what I mean? And if you believe, I think Jose Canseco's a little nuts, but if you believe him early on, he said minimum 80+% of players were using it. No doubt about it. It was a regular thing.
It's kind of hard to argue.
They would be shooting up in the bathrooms.
But dude, it's kind of hard to argue now. It's kind of hard to argue now with a lot of the things that he was saying back then have been proven. Yeah. Even the statement about the clubhouse thing. Remember, Mark McGwire, the Andro stuff was found in a bottle right at the top of his locker.
That's right.
In front of reporters, in
that's
plain sight. dude wasn't hiding this shit. Like he was just like, yeah, I take this big whoop. Like, you want to take some too? See if you hit 70 home runs. I don't know. Like,
well, that's the great thing McGuire said. And Anthony, I'm sorry to cut you off, but just to keep on what McGuire said that before, and everybody laughed at him. McGuire was like, my hand-eye coordination was good in my rookie year. I hit 50-something home runs in my rookie year. I would have
which
still,
he did.
He said, I guarantee you, with or without, I would have hit 60 plus or 70 still. So we could choose to believe that up, but McGuire always had power. He had power in college. Was he taking it then? I don't know. He had power at Oakland. His problem was he was injured. But McGuire was an animal.
Yeah. Go ahead, Anthony. You were gonna say something.
Okay. Yeah. That's my thing though with Albert Bell. He's not even brought up in the steroid conversation.
That's right.
He's not in the Hall of Fame because he was mean to reporters. That's literally the only reason why he's in the Hall of Fame. If you look at his career, he's literally one of the greatest hitters. Like he's probably a top 100 hitter ever.
Remember what he did to Fernando Vina?
Nah, bro.
Remember
He
that?
he was a cheat code. He terrified me.
Albert Bell was one of the greatest hitters of all time. There's no debate about that. But
it's the same thing with it's the same thing with Manny.
I think
Manny
A-Rod's
has the
one
same
of the
rap.
top
It's
5
stupid.
hitters in all of baseball.
Who?
Yeah. A-Rod.
Of course he is. And
Oh, no,
on
no,
top of
A-Rod-
that, one of the most intelligent players of all time.
dude, A-Rod again. A-Rod gets a bad rap now because of like stupid
He's an easy
things,
guy
and,
to
like the
hate.
way
That's what it is.
the way he's painted now, whatever. But if you you can't be in a certain age group and look at A-Rod with anything but respect because we saw him play. Like we saw him in Seattle, we saw him in Texas. It was like, bro, this guy is different. Like, you know how hard it is to make a Yankee fan feel jealous about a shortstop. We had Derek fucking Jeter. Like nobody, I don't care what anybody had. Like even Red Sox like to bring up, well, when Nomar was there, fuck Nomar. We didn't care about anything. But let me tell you, A-Rod, for a second there, you would be like, damn, I don't know. That guy's, it would be nice. I don't know. Like it would be nice. So that says something. That says something if you can make a Yankee fan jealous.
Facts. Oh, we got a couple of super chats I would like to get to. Sorry, did you want to say something?
I just wanted to ask you real quick. If you could go back to how it was back then with the steroids and HGH, would you do it in today's
Hell
game?
yes. Hell
Right?
yes.
And this
In a
is why
heartbeat.
I would do it. Because you know
In a
why?
heartbeat.
There's so much freaking talent that goes on the IL every freaking day.
Well, look, I said this. I think I might have
A
said
bunch
it
of
to,
injuries.
I might have said it to, I don't know, Joe. I don't know if I talked to you guys about it in the chat, but I'm honestly, look, I'm being real. When a guy gets a bad injury, they're an investment. If HGH helps them and it heals muscles,
That's what I think. Yeah.
I'm not joking right now. I'd take HGH from my shoulder right now if I could. If I knew somebody that sold it, I'd call them. And yeah, is that illegal? All right, yeah, so arrest me. But at the end of the day, I would. If I could do it, I'd do it. 100% I would. If it healed me quicker, if I was a ball player, you better believe. If somebody said, look, this shit'll heal you. Instead of you being out for 12 weeks, we'll get you back on the field in 6. Sign me up. What do we do? Well, it's a cream I rub on you. Okay. It's a steroid. It builds the muscle quick. Okay, let's do it.
Like, for example, I
People
think
view
the
that as a
judge.
negative. Like you're doing what's best for your team. Like that should not be seen as a negative. Wanting to get back on the field quicker is a positive. He wants to
Look
be
at
back.
Judge
my
from
thing.
like 2018 and 19. He missed a lot of time.
Yeah.
He missed a lot of games.
And let's also remember,
They don't
too,
want to see Judge on steroids.
Here's the thing that gets me mad.
Oh my god.
Yeah, imagine that. Here's
They
the
don't
and
want-
Ra, I'm gonna get to all the
Monster.
super chats. You got a few super chats, but I just want to say this real quick. Here's the thing that gets me mad. We do understand that medically, there's some injuries that require steroids.
Oh, 100%.
That you have to take steroids for certain injuries. Like, I don't know if you guys are big into UFC and mixed martial arts, but Conor McGregor broke his leg in half. Everybody's saying he's so big right now, he's huge because he probably has to take a steroid for it. But he's gigantic now. He looks like a heavyweight. My man,
Yeah, it's
man
nuts.
is gigantic. But,
It's nuts.
you know, he can't get in trouble for that. So even if he was, he can't get in trouble because he has to take them, apparently. But anyway, moving on from that, Raw, we got a couple of super chats I want to get to. Raw family. I know you got in late, but Raw is always here, man. As
Yes,
much as
sir.
I absolutely love baseball, I get sick and tired of MLB waving the flag of integrity for baseball when they have countlessly ignored the obvious only to penalize the players after the fact, and on top of that, stacking their own damn pockets. So, yes, spot on, Rye. I agree with you 150%. David says, if you want to read something better, Mike Trout takes HGH for a thyroid condition. So does that disqualify him from the Hall of Fame like all the others? Then,
Nope.
Or will the writers ignore it, which he takes? Is that proven, by the way?
Nah, actually, I don't think that's really true. I think that's
Yeah.
kind of fake.
Yeah, I
This
don't know
was
how
some-
true that is, because I know that was out for a little bit. Because I remember
Yeah, this was something that came out
Francis-
before 2 seasons ago.
a funny story. The reason why I remember that I knew it was fake and I don't think it was real. Adam King talked about he broke the news story about him taking steroids, and he's like, I've been saying it. He's a steroid user. I told you years ago. So I remember that from Adam King. But Ruben also with the
blocked
super
me on
chat.
Twitter because I said Correa was going to sign with the Yankees.
Oh,
and
yeah, he
just
blocked
me
us,
with
and
that.
I've been extremely nice to him, but he still blocked me multiple times. Albert Bell had a 50-double, 50 home run season. Yeah, Albert Bell's an absolute monster, man.
Look,
I remember
there was. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying I remember back in '98, I was at Yankee Stadium. Orioles were in town. Bell bombs 3 home runs. Freaking Yankees lost that game like 14-11.
Awesome ball play.
It was a great game.
Oh, by the way, speaking of
times.
speaking of some of these guys and things like that, one of the guys I'll definitely mention that I seen in person, and was one of the most magnificent home runs I've ever seen. If you've never seen a Gary Sheffield home run in person, you missed something. I mean, you could blink. If you blink your eyes, you'll miss the ball going out the park. That's how hard he hit the ball.
Oh yeah.
I mean, just terrific. And I
remember
actually,
he hit one. He got pretty deck in left field at the old Yankee Stadium.
Yeah. I mean, well, look at his 2 years. He was second in MVP his first year with the Yankees. And then the year after that, he was
guy was an RBI machine.
Oh my God.
Yankees.
That's something I brought up recently. I'm like, a lot of guys be like, well, how does,
I love this fire that he brought to the team.
A ton. An attitude. He had an attitude with the team.
Competitive, exactly.
Competitor, yeah. I mean, this guy was,
batting stint
I think
ever.
both years in a row, I think he had over 130 RBIs, I believe, with the Yanks. So, I mean, he was just he was a stud with the Yankees, but
he was really good with us.
Yeah, no
Imagine
doubt.
Correa's
no doubt
attitude in the Bronx, though.
But it's needed. It's needed, and that's one of the things I talk about, man.
And that's exactly one of the biggest things is you need that attitude because it causes accountability. Then we don't have to care if Boone is not getting in Glaber's face because one thing we know, Correa sure as hell is.
Yeah.
And if Gary Sanchez is the catcher, which I still I'm not a proponent even with Correa there. I know one thing, Gary Sanchez is going to have to figure it out because Correa will give it to him in any language. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, you got that right.
You better figure it out because I know one thing, Correa's not going to want to watch him lose them a game in the ninth after him and his boys go and bat them to get the lead, and then they're losing it in the ninth because this guy gets a pass ball. Like, y'all don't got to say anything. Correa's going to say it.
Facts. And by the way, Sheffield had 2 top 10 finishes. The first one he was second, and then the last one he was 8th in his 2 full seasons. But Czar, go ahead.
Yeah, look at that.
I don't know if you guys agree with this, but I know the Yankees hired Luis Rojas to be that third base coach.
Yeah.
Why do I have a feeling that move is for Gary Sanchez?
Probably. The Yankees will do anything for Gary. They'll do anything to hope that he
been there,
works out. Here's another thing that we haven't brought this up about Gary a lot, and I think it's actually a good thing to talk about. If Gary all of a sudden has this great year, I don't think the Yankees even resign him. So what the hell's the point? I mean, if Gary comes out of nowhere and pops 30-plus homers this year and his defense is decent, are the Yankees giving this guy 17, 18 million a season? I don't think so.
Fuck no.
No, I don't think so. So my point of that is, too, even with the best-case scenario, it's only one season. Move the hell on. Yeah. Cole's going to pitch to him this year? No. Is Montgomery going to carry over? No, maybe.
The only thing I could see is that they wait for the whatever CBA, everything to be finished, and they hope for DH in the NL because then obviously they're going to have plenty of people that are going to. That's
what I was thinking too, and that's the reason. That could be the reason too why they tendered him a contract, why they tendered Voit, why they tendered Andujar. Because look, I said it before, and you get the DH in the National League, give me any one of those guys, and I'll be happy.
Hell yeah, especially at the price point.
Give me any one of those guys, and I'll be very happy. Milwaukee could be waiting for that too.
Oh hell
You know,
yeah! But
Milwaukee could be waiting for that too.
there's a lot of teams that are gonna need to fill out that spot and don't necessarily have that guy on the roster. Like, not everybody's equipped like that.
Yeah.
Yankees are the DH
Milwaukee really needed an offensive boost, and like Joe just said, the Yankees happen to be a DH bank right now.
Yeah, facts.
And the price point is good. That's why you tender a guy like Sanchez, because you're not gonna let him walk away for anything.
No, it makes no sense.
When you know that the DH is going to the NL, and if you lock him in at $8 million, $7.5 million, yeah, maybe that's not what you want to pay him to be your shortstop. But if you're Milwaukee, $8 million for Sanchez as your DH, hell yeah, I do it. Hell yeah.
Yep, facts.
Not even 10 million. Not even 10
would.
million for a guy who's
Absolutely.
going to probably hit you 30 plus home runs because he's not worrying about catching anymore. So he might get you all types of production.
And the thing that pisses me off more than anything is when Yankee fans bring that up as a reason not to get rid of him. What, that he's going to have success somewhere else? God bless him. I hope he does.
Yeah, but the fact half of that admission is that it's somewhere else. That's what we're saying.
Yeah,
like we're saying he can and will be successful elsewhere because it will be out of New York.
Yeah, and I hope he is.
Needs a change of scenery.
I hope he's very successful.
Listen, 3 years ago, this was my biggest fear, but not anymore. Now we know what he is.
Yeah.
So get him out of here.
That's right.
No, but that's the thing, Caesar. 3 years ago, you were 100% right, because 3 years ago we didn't know yet. We didn't know yet, and you don't make a move like that when you don't know for sure. But now we know for sure what Gary Sanchez is as a Yankee. Even if he has an amazing year this year, I don't want to hear it. He's got to go.
Yeah, no.
Because he's had amazing years in the past and still, changed and reverted back to what we're dealing with now.
Absolutely.
I think Mitch Garver being out there is somebody they should look at.
Mitch Garver makes a lot of sense. He was actually going to be on my top 5 list. I forgot what I did. I either changed it or I forgot. I forgot what it was again, but a lot of the guys I put on there, I'm like, man, I'll take any one of them right now. Because I actually talked to an advanced scout recently about Jonah Heim, and I just to learn about him a little more. And it was actually right before I got all this stuff in. And he told me flat out, he's like, the outcome of a guy like Jonah Heim is a guy like Zunino. He's never going to bat high. He's going to eventually end up hitting for more power, and he already does to a degree. But he's really good defensively, and pitchers love to catch to him. And I'm like, oh, man, that would be – or throw to him, excuse me. I was like, that would make a lot of sense. It's something that probably wouldn't cost a lot because they got Sam Huff already. So I'm like, it probably wouldn't cost the world. It'll be pretty interesting.
A point about Jonah Heim, if you look at his advanced stats when it comes to just catching, he's top 5. Just catcher of the ball in terms of stealing strikes, framing.
That's one of the things that he mentioned about him. He's like, he's a very, very good guy. But the thing is, you're going to get homer production from him. So you might not get a guy that bats 230, 240. He might bat the low 200s, but he's going to hit 20 plus a season. But he's really good defensively. So I'm like, that makes all the sense in the world. I think he's 26 or 27. So he's very, very young. But all those guys, Wilson Contreras, I would love. I love his attitude. I love his personality. I would take him. He's a world champion too. And you could tell he's a guy who wants to win. So I see people even bring up stuff and they're comparing Gary Sanchez. I mean, guys, stop. Stop the bias. It's stupid. You bring up these, and people like to bring up, and Anthony, it seems like you're more realistic about analytics than a lot of other people are.
I am.
But a lot of people would bring up like one analytic number, like, well, this one's better. Then you're like, what about the other 4 that shows Contreras is better? But this one's more important. Oh, okay.
Because you say because who says it's more important? Because my argument
they found one that shows it's better.
My argument, it's like, come on, bro.
Because all of a sudden Wilson Contreras is like a terrible catcher. He's this.
Listen,
come on.
Wilson Contreras isn't awful. He's better than Gary Sanchez. I think you could get. I know there's people on like the people that interact with us on Twitter tend to just go to the extreme and say like he's Gary Sanchez. He's not. He's better. Marginally, yes. Mitch Garver would be a significant improvement in almost every facet of the game. He makes better contact. He's a better framer. He's a better catcher. He's a better receiver. He's a better thrower. He literally does everything better. Jonah Heim is a great call from you, Pete. He's a guy, if he's out there and available, you get him because he's Gary Sanchez with defense. That's what he is. He will be hit 200. He will hit 20 home runs, and he will gun people, and you will not worry about pitchers not liking him. A guy like Sean Murphy, if he were to ever be available, if he is with Oakland, you look at him, and I know people prospect cost, whatever. Control, I don't really give a shit. You give up whatever it takes to get a guy like Sean Murphy. He's young, entering his prime, elite defensive and offensive catcher, in my opinion, with upside still. Going into this season with Gary Sanchez, in my opinion, is disgusting for an organization like the Yankees. Just not good enough. I've seen people do these top 30 lists. Gary Sanchez doesn't even make an appearance. Kyle Higashioka has better projections than him. Yeah. So, in my opinion, if you're not going to get anybody, you start Higgy.
Well, remember, Pete, and I'm 100% with you on that, Anthony. I've been meaning to say that like I'm so over Sanchez that like I would, even if we don't make a move with him there, then like, okay, I'm starting the season as Higgy as a starting catcher and you're backup. Like that's where I'm at with it. But Pete, the one thing I wanted to mention was the player that we were talking about before that we couldn't remember is Brendan Maella. You were talking about the Cuban outfielder that everybody's saying the Yankees are going to sign. And if they sign one of these guys this year, they'll lose $500 in international pool money.
Yep.
Here's the thing with that. That was under the old CBA though. Like, so everybody's saying that, not knowing what's going to be negotiated in the new CBA, the international pool money and the qualifying offer pick that you lose, like all of that's on the table because players are saying like, even with the luxury tax, like the luxury tax, the qualifying offer, the international pool money and the draft pick that you lose when you sign somebody with a QO, all that stuff was supposed to be something that like kept the big teams from like hoarding players and gave the smaller teams an advantage in terms of like free agency, but it hasn't worked like that. The luxury tax threshold has operated as a salary cap for most of the league, and the QO has scared away the lower market teams just as much as it has the bigger teams because people care about draft picks and people care about international money. It's like if that's not going to get players, if that's not going to get players what they want in the open market, that's not something they're going to be for. So I'd be surprised if the new CBA comes out and people are still losing $500,000 in international money when they sign a QO guy, but that's just me.
Well, we got another super chat in here from Michael Jackson. Gary Sanchez is the shits, and I can't wait until he's gone so I can enjoy baseball again. Fam, look, I tell you what, one last thing on Gary Sanchez. You guys know how I feel already about, like, if he's back. Francis, you know I've been very hard body on how the Yankees are going to win. I said it. I agree to you because you convinced me. You were like, if they do all this, Pete, what do you think? They got to do a significant amount to make up for Aaron Boone because, look, I don't care what anybody says. If you don't think the manager's attitude rubs off on a team, you're out your friggin' mind. It's like a family. They're around this guy all the time. Trust me, that rubs off on the team. And for me, if you bring Gary Sanchez back next year, all you're telling every other team is that, and your fan base, in my opinion, you're not serious about winning. We've seen enough. How much more do we got to see? Do we got to see the Mets play again with Jonathan VR? Do we got to see that 25 more times?
Oh God.
50 feet away, the ball's in his hand. Every catcher, let me tell you something. Thurman Munson, Yogi Berra, all the greats that are past were turning in their graves the minute that happened. Because it's a disgrace and a stain on baseball that this guy could actually have this job and make a play like that. It's sickening. How about the pop-up in Cleveland? He never touched the ball. Oh. The strikeout, he doesn't even run to the ball. He walks to it.
Oh my
I mean, how much more do we got to see at this point to say, okay, Yankees, this is the year. He's going to finally get it together. Enough is enough. Be done with him. So I'm giving the Yankees the benefit of a doubt that there's going to be new rules and regulations and all that. There's going to possibly be a DH in the National League. They got a couple of months to trade him. I think that's where they go. But if the Yankees hold on to him, don't be shocked if they get Correa. And I'm still sitting here saying they're not going to win shit because of Gary Sanchez, the catcher. Don't be shocked if you hear me saying it.
It's a fair assessment. As somebody who was pro Gary longer than probably everybody here, I was pro Gary going into this season. I bought into projections and things like that, which has actually taught me to not maybe rely so much on them because, like you guys have said a lot, I mean, he's projected to be good, but he's not. He's not good in reality. So it's tamed my expectations as a fan in trusting projections alone. But yeah, Gary cannot be the starting catcher for this team. A little bit of optimism. I know people have talked about stopgap a lot, shortstop wise. In my opinion, if they were going to do that, I think they would have done it already. I think you could have signed Andrelton Simmons before the lockout for $8 million and gotten that over with. So it does bring me some optimism to think they're going to spend. Now, maybe not Correa. They might get Story, which would be okay, but you'd have to get more than him. You can't sell me Trevor Story and nobody else. But just a little optimism for fans.
Maybe we'll wrap up with this, but let me get to David real quick. He says, Gary, for one category that he may have advantage in, but I like William Contreras, and he's younger and a good catcher. I don't think he's, again, I agree with Anthony. I don't think he's the greatest significant improvement in the world, but to me, his attitude alone is better. That alone.
Something that isn't quantified. So for sure, that's where you have a great argument against me as somebody who would say he's not a great improvement, but he's a world champion. He shows in games that he is willing to do whatever it takes to get a win.
Have you guys heard the story about when he came up as a rookie and he told all the veterans that they'll never be hazing with him? Don't even think about it.
Mm-hmm.
Because he said he's flat out here to win with this team and he's not going to tolerate hazing. So I'm
and
like,
what happened?
They never hazed him.
They won.
They respected him and they won. And they actually won. And he was like, I'm here to actually win a World Series. I'm not here to bullshit and all that. I'm here to play baseball. Yeah. So it was pretty interesting to hear stuff like that. But if somebody would have asked me today, and I thought about this because I don't have confidence in Steinbrenner, here's what I think the Yankees do. And based off some of the more recent knowledge I've heard, I think the Yankees do some trades. I don't know if it's going to be Olson, but I think they actually are very interested in IKF from Texas. I think that's a possibility. And I actually think the Yankees are the team that ends up with Suzuki. The more I hear about it, the more you hear about Tanaka loves him. Matsui apparently said he's the best hitter to come out of that region since him and Ichiro, and he's the real deal because he's not the slap guy. He's the guy that goes up there and he can hit. So I think that's the route the Yankees actually end up going. Hopefully I'm wrong. I've said it before. Even based off the things I heard, the people I respect a lot, I hope they're wrong, and I hope the Yankees sign Correa, and I hope they go out there and make the big moves. I just don't see it. I think Olson and Manaea are just there, like kind of like Correa. It's kind of like there for the Yankees. Like, come get it. I mean, it makes the most sense in the world. It's a perfect move for the Yanks, and you do it. And I don't know. I just think Gary's going to be back. I don't have confidence in his philosophy. I think the Yankees will win again when Cashman's gone, and when Boone's. I really believe that. And I know trust me, I'm as big as a Yankee fan as everybody. I wouldn't get as mad as I do for no freaking reason. I get as mad as I do, and it bothers me so much because us, the fans, know better than they do, and it's quite obvious what we're seeing here. Our assessments are actually legitimate. We watch every single game. You know what I mean? And, I just don't see Steinbrenner doing the moves that he's going to do, that the Yankees need to do. I don't see it happening. So I don't know if you guys want to go around the room and say what you actually think happens. I just
want to say this is why NYY News is going to be on top, because I don't think there's anybody else out there that's going to say what Pete's saying.
No,
and as a fan that wants the Yankees to win, it's just a hard reality to grasp, which is a reality that the Yankees might not win under Boone or Cashman, and it's just something that it's hard to grasp. And Pete's saying it, and Pete's putting it out there.
I've told everybody they could troll me. I'll come live, and you could troll me when the Yankees win under Boone, and I'll be smiling the whole time, because guess what? That's something I'll be very happy to be wrong about. I hope to God the Yankees win the World Series next year. Hope they win it the next 3 years, 4 years, 5 years under Boone. He could be a Hall of Fame manager. If all I care, good, let him be. I have no confidence in this ball club, and it stems from the moves they made over the last couple of years. It stems from the shit they've let players get away with, which I think is a disgrace to baseball in general, and kids that bust their ass in the minor leagues that don't get a shot.
Yep.
I think you see a kid like Florial get called up. The kid does everything right, and what do they say? All right, see you later. You only batted 300 with us. You only had multiple doubles. You only walked almost more than you struck out. You only played great center field defense, but I'll see you later. That's my problem. And again, I'm sorry to go on a little long rant about that, but Joe, it is what we did. Not kind of. It is what we do here. January comes around. This is the last show of Nights at the Roundtable until you guys get the beautiful new template, the beautiful new intro, the beautiful new outros, and the transitions and all the crazy stuff we've been working on behind the scene. But it's the last one. And, 2021 has not been a cute Yankee year. Let's be real. It's been an ugly one. It's been one to forget. So trust me when I tell you, I want to enter 2022 thinking the Yankees are going to win it all. But they got a lot to prove to me first. And that's just how I feel about it.
Totally fair to feel that way.
Yep.
Too.
There's a lot of room for improvement, almost every position.
No doubt about it. I mean,
Even third base.
I agree.
I've been saying it for a while.
I agree with you 100% on that. I agree with you 100% on that. I mean, you even look at second base. I mean, are we just under the assumption that Glaber is going to beat his All-Star? I think Francis made a great point. I think he did. I think Francis said on our chat the other day, he said, if they get Correa, I think he returns back to All-Star level. He might. Now, one thing I don't like to talk about athletes because athletes do put in work. Most majority of athletes put in work.
Yeah.
Glaber's body language, I'm not liking too much on what I'm seeing.
Yeah.
He's kind of going down that early Gary road where it's like, he don't look like he's in the best shape of his career. And he's a young man. He's a young athlete. He's not somebody sitting home.
Yeah.
He got to, I've been seeing pictures recently. I'm like, I don't know. And I don't want to base stuff off something like that. That's stupid. To me, that's stupid.
No, yeah.
But we've seen it
never
before. You never know. And I'm like,
yeah,
we see him in the batting cage. Okay, that's cute. We see Luis Hill running up mountains. I'm like, all right, my man trying to build muscle or something, but I don't know. We'll see. I'm sorry to go on that long rant.
Luis Hill's trying to get in shape so he looks good in the Oakland jersey.
Yeah, that's
man.
it. That's it right there. He's like, I'm gonna be the ace of that staff.
I'm messing around. I love Luis Hill, but if he's got to go for Olson, he's got to go. So.
Yeah,
See you, Luis. It's been a pleasure.
It is what it is. Nah, like I guess my last my closing point will just be I'm a little more optimistic. I feel like the Yankees can definitely find a way to win in spite of Boone and in spite of how Cashman has misspent some of the money that he's allocated over the years. But make no mistake about it, that's a real tall mountain to climb. Yep. It's not short at all.
And then by the way, too, for the people who say we always agree on everything, there you go.
Oh yeah. And that's another thing. I like if you guys ever thought that, like, come on, guys, like we debate everything. I think a lot of times what happens is that like our best debates are in our group chat, and that's our fault.
Facts.
That's our fault.
It's not our fault either because we can't go live all the time.
Yeah, we can't go live all the time, but it's like we don't plan it. It's what it is. We're real. We're not trying to like. We're not going to come up here and fake a debate for you that we already had. Yeah. It's like we'll bring it to the live, like, we'll bring the topic up. But yeah, like I always say, like, look, and I respect Pete's opinion. Why? Because it makes sense, and he has facts to back it up. And what I'm saying, like, I feel like my opinion makes sense. I feel like I have facts to back it up, and we don't know which one of us is going to be right now, right? But what I'm saying is where I'm standing, like. For me to be right, they have to do a lot. They have to do a lot.
And that part I don't disagree with. I don't disagree with that part.
New first baseman, new center fielder, new shortstop, new catcher, and another pitcher. That's 5 things. I don't know in my heart of hearts that like they're going to do that for sure. But I like to believe that after this lockout is done, the Yankees come out guns blazing.
It would be awesome.
And shut us all up and
it would be awesome.
Make all these moves. But if they don't, guys, at least you can't say that somebody wasn't telling you this because you know what I mean?
They don't just stay locked out.
Yeah, they might as well not even show up.
Yeah. He said keep the stadium locked.
We're really like I think people understand now, but when they saw the trailer and everything, like, I got a lot of comments, even like just DMs personally. It's funny because I'm not putting anybody on blast, but man, everybody becomes an expert when they see somebody else trying to do something because I have the most suggestions I've ever had over this channel. After we release like big things that are coming in January, everybody all of a sudden knows what we should and shouldn't do. But anyway, God bless them. I got plans to go. Francis, I was going to talk to you about this stuff, but, NY News needs to show up for spring training and whatever it is. I don't know if it's a couple of days or whatever, but we're going to show up there. We're going to be around spring training and stuff like that. So my whole thing is, like, make the friggin' moves, man. Like get these fans back excited. Like, we'll pay. That's the one thing about the Yankee fans, man. The legit fans, a lot of the people in the chat, a lot of people on Twitter, everybody in this room will pay. Joe even said it. Joe was like, man, I'm waiting to buy these opening day tickets, but I got to see what they do.
Yep.
Like even the tickets I just saw, like the what is it? You buy $25 worth. It's $25 worth. You get 2 free tickets. I'm like, that's a great deal. Like maybe we all should just go to opening day and just. But I'm like, for me, I gotta travel 5.5 hours. You know what I mean? I gotta pay.
Deadline is today, guys.
Deadline is today.
Yeah,
Gas prices are through the roof.
Yeah.
Gas prices are through the roof. So it's an extra trip for me. It's a very big trip for me to drive up there right now. Yeah. And I'm like, for that team, now if they got Correa If Gary's gone, I'll sit my ass behind home plate. You know what I mean? I'll sit right there, be cheering him on. I don't care who the catcher is. I'll be screaming for anybody. But as of right now, we don't know any of that. We don't know none of that. So I think everybody's a little hesitant about what they do.
Listen, if they get Correa, if we get Olson, another pitcher, we'll be sitting in the suite. How's that?
Facts,
dude.
I'm down.
I'm down. And I just want to say, like, I'm with all you fans who are out there saying, like, yeah, like, I want to boycott, like, I don't want to buy stuff here, whatever. Like, don't let anybody like talk you out of what you want to do with your money. If you're out there saying, like, look, I'm not giving this team another dime until I see some changes, and they're telling you, like, oh, stop being a greedy fan, like, you're not a real fan. Tell them to go fuck themselves. Tell them Francis told you to say it, because it's your money. It's your money. Right. It's your money. And you know what? They don't deserve your money if they're not going to spend your money in a way that you in agreement with. I'm not saying you have to agree with every freaking move, but it's been a couple of years now that you haven't, that fans have been left with something to desire, right? Yep. So if you're a fan out there saying, I'm not buying tickets until I see moves, I'm not buying, then stick to your guns, guys. Stick to your guns. Don't fold. Don't fold. I know it's popular because there's like two sides of Yankees Twitter, and there's a whole other side that's like, friends with people who sell tickets and do other stuff and that's cute and all that. And you know what? More power to them. But like, don't let anybody on that side convince you that you're a weirdo because you don't want to give this team your money until you see them do something that makes you feel like they've done right by you, because that's bullshit.
Yep.
Hal Steinbrenner is pocketing our money right now. Until he spends it on somebody, he's pocketing it. That's where I stand on it. That's really my last point. I'm going to shut up now.
I don't know if anybody else has a last point. If you do, please go. But then I just want to talk about something I'm planning on doing next week with the channel that I want to tell everybody. I don't know if I could do it yet, but I'll find out. But if you guys have any last words.
Oh, yes. In my opinion, Robbie Ray was a steal.
100%. We talked 100%, 150%.
Listen, when I got the notification, my phone was like, what? Where are the Yankees?
23 million fans.
Wow. I'm like, can't make this up.
Caesar, like if you may have not seen some of the chats that I did, but I told people flat out, I said, at 23 million, you know what I want from Robbie Ray? Give me 170 innings. Give me your K-9 world record, which it is. It's the greatest of all time. It's the greatest in Major League Baseball history. Keep giving me that. And if your ERA bumps up by 1 run, 1.5 run, I'm okay if your ERA is around 4. I'm not even at that amount. I'm okay with it. I wouldn't be mad. 3.8 ERA, 3.95, 3.85. Give me the 170. Strike out guys. The Yankees need that. Also, wouldn't shock me.
The Yankees didn't entertain it.
It also wouldn't shock me if he just dominates again the next couple of years. So that wouldn't shock me either.
You guys would call me crazy, but I think Kevin Gausman is a better pitcher than Robbie Ray.
Ooh,
I do. I think Kevin Gausman is a very, very, very good pitcher, and I think he might project and be better than Robbie Ray.
You know my concern about Gausman? Gausman in the American League East to me is going to be concerning. We'll see how he does.
Ooh, you
in
took
those
the words right out of my mouth.
Parks. We'll see how he does. See, the thing about Robbie Ray is that I think fans
fly ball pitcher.
Robbie Ray is too. He has a straight fastball. That's why Cole gives up home runs. The hardest fastball guys give up homers because if you connect with a fastball, it's going to go out in most parks. And that's natural. That's where Robbie Ray's runs come from. He gives up no hits. Guys don't hit the guy. Not like he just, smacks hits around. He strikes everybody out. So, yeah, I was Caesar, I was on here all the time saying, and Francis, that was the move to me. I was like, you got to have that 1-2. It's insane. You can have 500 strikeouts from your 1-2. It's insanity.
Yeah. But, listen, we said it, back in when I was on for Roundtable back in September,
Yeah.
So
we'll see.
So
Anthony,
we'll see.
You got anything to add?
I'm going with Francis. I want everybody to be a little optimistic tonight before they go to sleep. I have faith in, it's crazy to say, I have faith in Brian Cashman. I have faith in the front office. They're going to do what's right. We're going to ride the wave. And with the launch of NyynewsTV, we're going to bring it in with a Yankee championship in 2022. It's got to happen.
That'll be amazing.
We need it.
Yeah, come on, let's go.
We need it.
That'll be amazing.
I think it's perfect. 2021's been a shitter. Let's get 2022 in. Let's win a ring. Let's do it. To the moon, baby. I want to thank all you guys for having me on. I appreciate the opportunity.
Of
Guys,
course.
go read his articles.
Yeah, definitely.
All the guys at NYY News TV.
Austin, yep.
We retweet their articles when they come out. Don't just like the tweet. Actually go and read it. It's good shit. I don't retweet bad shit, even if it's on my team. We're real.
Right. Yep.
If we're retweeting it, it's because it's good shit. Read it. Educate yourself.
Levon's World, real quick, says Montgomery has the same FIP. FIP you. All right, FIP you on that one. But no, just to wrap this up real quick. Oh, Joe, do you got something to say real quick?
Nah, nothing. I think we went over everything.
All right, perfect. One of the last things I want to end up with, guys, my good friend, Bad Dog, the other day did a wonderful thing, and I actually looked into it to see if I can do the same thing. He actually did a chat that was dedicated to charity, and you could donate to a charity. So I am actually going to look into that today, and if I can do it, guys, I'm going to ask everybody. I don't know if there's options of charities that work with YouTube. I don't know how that works. But either on the 20th or the 21st, I'm going to see if we can potentially raise maybe $300 to $500 for a charity. And I'll stay on it for however long it takes to do it. Hopefully we can do it. But that's something I'm going to look into this week, and then I'll give everybody a date on when we do that. But it goes direct to the charity, and it's just something that you can do on a channel. I think I'm qualified for it on this channel, so something I thought about doing. And I'll give you guys an update on that here in the next couple of days. But with that being said, it's been the last episode of Nights at the Round Table in 2021. Big things coming in 2022.
And I'm part of it.
I'm happy you are a part of it. I'm happy everybody's a part of it. And
of course.
With that being said, talk to you guys next time. Thank you.
Take care, guys.
Tell me what you